doing 10 overs in the first inning. With BBC. Yeah.
John Simpson, the wicket keeper, Luke Coleman. It's your Middlesex lineup. Last. Great memories.
Fellas, just to let you know, I've handed the cameras over to Ollie now, so whatever Ollie's feeding you on the outputs you've got, you can grab for whatever you need, and you can go with the big screens as and when you need. But I obviously need to call in the countdown VT.
Yep.
But first up, we'll go with the Guard of Honour graphic. We'll go out by the guard of honour. Dan, you should have a picture of Dave's Fulton coming through to you from the camera up here. So we're going to go.
Good afternoon and welcome to Radlett for the start of Middlesex's Blast campaign in 2022. Up against the visitors, Gloucestershire. I'm Adam Collins, with me, as ever, the voice of Middlesex, Kevin Ann. A tough time getting here for you, but it's all been all right on the night. You've rocked up just in time with the news that Gloucestershire have won the toss, elected to field, and they've got Naseem Shah in their 11 as well.
A lucky charm for Middlesex tonight that, everything is going to plan, just about, but only just. Also going to plan is obviously Owen Morgan. That's the big one for Middlesex, isn't it? The side that they put out tonight, one of the stronger they will this season. Obviously, the players that they've lost that they expect to have, Shaheen was the first one, wasn't he? Shaheen Shah Afridi. That one's a blow. To have lost him. You don't take Shaheen Shah Afridi out of any side in the world and they're better for it. So that was a huge blow for them. But obviously Chris Green being in and around the club at this time has come as a boost for them. It's to have Morgan in for the first game. I don't think he's going to be in tomorrow, do we? But
it's unlikely that Morgan will play in consecutive days per an interview he did with Will McPherson in the Evening Standard yesterday. But enjoy him while we've got him here at Radlett. He'll bat number 4. The captain, Stevie Eskenazi, this year. So Morgan relinquishing that role. Eskenazi, Holden, Cracknell, Morgan, Anderson, Simpson, Holman, Green, Roland, Jones, Cullen, Wallaluita for the hosts, and for the visitors, Jack Taylor, the captain, James Bracey, Miles Hammond, Ian Cabane, Glenn Phillips, who was extraordinary last year, Taylor at 5, Benny Howe, Ryan Higgins, Tom Smith, David Payne, Naseem Shah, and Paul Van Meekeren rounding out the side for Gloucestershire, who have the wood over Middlesex in this form of the game. In all the games they've played in the 20 years of the Blast, Middlesex have won just 2 of them. They've lost 14, 1 tie, 1 no result, a couple abandoned. Last year, Middlesex finished second bottom in the Southern Group, winning just 4 of their fixtures. And Gloss started well, then they were cut down by COVID, missing 2 games at a crucial time, and then they limped to the finish line, finishing 6th in their group. So neither team coming off a particularly impressive 2021, but an overcast day here at Radlett. We know bulk runs here, Kev, over the journey at Radlett, the 4 Blast games here. An average score in the first innings of 183 and in the second innings of 194. So the message is clear. Go hard early, go hard all the way through.
So it's Fortress Radlett against the bogey team for Middlesex tonight, isn't it? That's, which one's going to budge for Middlesex? They'll very much hope that it's Fortress Radlett. They know what they're doing here, don't they? They know how... They know how this ground plays, they know what a score is on this pitch, and that's so often a difficulty for a visiting team turning up. How does this game play? Now, Gloucestershire have played here, as you say, and they had that very contentious match in the dark a couple of seasons ago, which went right down to the wire and, well, left us all a bit confused at the end. But
yeah, that was Owen Morgan leading the team here against Gloucestershire 12 months ago when the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern equation meant they lost on the last ball of the game with a top edge 6, and had it been a 4 they would have won, but a 6 as bad light intervened, and that was that.
And of course that was where he was told to bowl the spinners, otherwise it's game over. So they bowled the spinners, got back ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis. Then at the end, went to walk off the pitch. We're back ahead, right, we're bringing our quicks on, we'll walk off. And they said, no, the light's fine now, you can bowl your quicks. As you say, that's how it then unfolded with what was required at that top edge. Stephen Finn, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, that was a tough one for Middlesex to take, but they are the bogey side, and they're not the bogey side for no reason, eh?
So Stevie Eskenazi is joined by Max Holden to open the batting. Holden, one of the informed men for Middlesex in the county championship, where they've won 4 of their 6 fixtures, sitting atop Division 2. Holden with 4 half-centuries, averaging 50 in the long-form stuff. And Eskenazi, who started season 2022 in outstanding nick, making 118 against Derbyshire on opening day, but a cracked thumb when fielding, taking a catch on the final afternoon of that first round, has seen him sitting on the sidelines thereafter. So a great opportunity in the form of the game where he has dominated over the last 2 years. Second in the country for runs in season 2020, the truncated COVID season, and yes, just on 400 last year at 44 and a strike rate of 140, which included his first century in this form of the game, 102 not out against Essex at Lords. So a man Middlesex needed to have fit and ready for the blast.
Yeah, and like I say, this side, when I saw the squad, he thought, okay, that 11 pretty much picks itself. And that's not something you can say with Middlesex over the years in T20, for a long, long while, actually. So, you know, it feels as though a lot of the pieces are there this year. Obviously, again, we talked about Shaheen.
David Payne gets the new ball. Salters field end. Catches the call, but it's 4 instead. He's laced that through the offside. Eskenazi picking up where he left off last year. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, the poor fella picking up where he left off with the injury as well. That catch against Derbyshire that we sat there and watched, and off he went, and off has done his season for a fair old while. Has missed a lot of action, but he'll be wanting to make up for lost time.
Payne took 12 wickets in 9 games last year at an average of 27, economy of 8.8. Runs again, timed that well through mid-wicket. At least a couple, and gets 2 fours to start. Eskenazi. Well played down the hill, out towards the electronic scoreboard. Well, we talked about the way he's been able to dominate attacks over the last 2 seasons. Much of that has been inside the power play. Good stop. Ian Cobain, the veteran. Saving 4. Eskenazi last year had the 8th most runs in the competition from 11 innings. All 7 above him had between 12 and 15 hits, so it gave some sense of him being right at the top of the tree. Max Holden's first ball. It's a slip. Off the mark down to deep backward square. 1 of 2 out on the leg side to start. Max Holden last year made just 120 runs at 20 in Blast cricket. Made a half-century, which was against Gloucestershire here at Radlett. His only score above 50, 50 not out. But he started the county championship in wonderful form. An important 77 against Durham last week, setting up victory there on the final afternoon. Catch against the call, out towards deep third, and it will be a 3rd boundary for Eskenazi. What a start.
What a hairdo from Higo. Tell you what, I've seen some over the years from the all-rounder. But yeah, almost a football-style slide, just to try and get that one back in. Is there a headband in there?
I think they call that an Alice band.
Is it an Alice band, is it?
I think so. I mean, don't ask me to distinguish between that and a headband, to be fair. I think it means it's thinner. Big over to start for the host, 15 from it.
Is it Step Brothers? It's a bit Step Brothers, that one, isn't it?
So that Middlesex team has named today. Have got 2 players in it, Kev, who didn't get a start at all in the competition last year. Martin Anderson, He played every game in 2020 and didn't play at all in 2021. And Tilar Molalawita, who again was out of favour and injured through the blast block last year. He's played one championship game, got injured again, and here he is back in the 11 after taking a few wickets in the second team last week.
I couldn't understand for the life of me how Anderson wasn't in this team last year. He was struggling with about one innings, and he'd have been away again, was my feeling. And that's what happens in the blast. One shot and it's away. That game we did last week, he was a little bit rusty, wasn't he, until he got hit on the finger, and then that was it. He was in same way in the blast last year. He was struggling with the bat all season long, and it felt pretty much as though which end of the bat am I holding at some points for Anderson, which I think he'll admit himself. He really was struggling. In fact, down at Cheltenham against Gloucestershire was one of those that felt like the most difficult periods for him. But the blasts, he could very much have excelled in that, I fancy.
How about this kid? Here comes Naseem Shah, one of the quickest bowlers in the world. And pulled away with authority by Eskenazi. 4 fours in 6 deliveries he's faced so far. What a start.
Yeah, we saw speed on this track disappear at times over the years. Blake Cullen bowled an incredible spell here last year, didn't he, to Hampshire, and in particular James Vince, where he went a little bit short of a length, put it in around neck height, pretty much all the way through, and troubled Vince.
Pace off. Get through for a single. So we've got a man out at deep backwards square. I think finds inside the circle for Eskenazi. Difficult to tell. We're actually underneath the field of play in our commentary position in the tent here at Radlett, where the pitch is higher than we are, which makes it a bit hard to pick up on some of the field positions. So for Max Holden, it's going to be deep square and deep third in front of Salters Field. Last time I saw Naseem Shah, it was bowling Australia out at Lahore a few months ago with that reverse swinging so well with the red ball. Past the edge of Holden, wheels.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he does go for that shorter length like Cullen did. I was watching it side on that night, and it was incredible to watch that pace from Cullen. The bounce was really doing for Vince. Vince in particular. But that was one I think we all sat up and took notice that this guy was the real deal.
Had a great campaign for the Gladiators in the PSL this year, Naseem. Short here, lifted towards deep third on the bounce. Tidying up, done by Payne. He's at 14 wickets in the PSL at 22. Strike rate of just 16, 8 and over. Took 5 for 20 against Karachi with some vision that went around the world a couple of times, taking stumps out of the ground and all the rest of it, which often it is with Naseem Shah. When he takes a middle stump, it does tend to go viral. Extraordinary talent. Pace off again, Eskenazi, outstanding. 5 fours already. And just there, waiting on it. Picked up the change of pace. And steering it through the gap. Classy batting.
Must be chomping at the bit. Stevie Eskenazi out there after that injury. It's frustrated him massively. Just going back to what you were saying about Wallaluisa as well. That's a big call they've gone early with, isn't it? No, that Wallaluisa's in, Holman's in, Green's in, Sousa's out. That's a pretty big statement early on from Richard Johnson, back in the younger spinners.
Yeah, especially given how well Souter bowled last year. He was one of the only positives from the entire campaign.
He initially came in as white ball only, didn't he, for Middlesex on a white ball contract, then won the full-time contract. And as you say, he's been a staple part of the T20 diet in particular for Middlesex. The problem here for Eskenazi, a signal of something.
I think they thought it was over, but they've gone the early crow. So Naseem has to take the long sleeve sweater off and go again. He won't be thrilled with that. Already 10 runs from the over. Eskenazi strike rate up at 288. Quick single, Holden rather, danger end and through. Direct hit would have been interesting. Great start for the hosts, 26 for none after 2.
So yeah, you know, those spinners in, and also we know what Holman can do with the bat, what Green can do with the bat, what Roland Jones at number 9 can do with the bat. This has been Middlesex's problem over the years. Who's going to do it? It used to be looking at one, Paul Sterling. I remember going back many moons. You know, the States are almost 15 years back, which you know, is not far off the length of the history of the competition. I remember one of the players saying when Sterling got out, everybody's head in the dressing room dipped, and they said, "Who's going to do it now? Who's going to do it now? Sterling's gone."
Van Meekeren replacing Payne after 1 over, and the result's the same. Eskenazi with that short arm jab into position early, not overhitting it, and knowing at this ground it races away. Up to 28 already.
Eskenazi is one of the great examples, really, of a lot of players who've evolved into T20 cricket. He and that man at the other end, you can see there, Max Holden, they've grown and grown as the years have gone on. As T20 players, were never first picks. Like Joe Cracknell, who comes in next, was absolutely nailed on as a T20 player from the beginning, really set the world alight. Owen Morgan as well. But Cracknell's probably the first since Morgan, since Milan, since Sterling, who's been able to come in and actually say, yep, T20 is my game, and I've got something that I can do from a very early age, a very early stage of the career. But both of these two are players who've evolved for sure in this format. Have we lost the ball? I think we have. Oh, that's back.
Yeah, that will happen at this ground. If you're new to watching cricket at Radlett, expect lost balls. That's all part of the charm of this little outground in Hertfordshire. I say little outground. It's a beautiful cricket club. A lot of the second team players have spent their development years playing fixtures here, and there was a couple of first-class games at this ground during the Bob Willis Trophy in 2020. A couple of excellent games, actually, that went all the way down to the wire, where Eskenazi was leading Middlesex through 2020, the behind closed doors season. The bowler, Paul Van Meekeren, played just 3 games last year for Durham before moving to Gloucestershire in this form. 4 wickets at 24 for the Dutch international. Plenty of experience. Picked up there by Holden. Has that gone all the way? One bounce over the rope. His first 4. Game on.
It's a start and a half for Middlesex this, isn't it? Middlesex's record list A scorer, Max Holden, 166 in that format. There's a century to his name in T20 cricket as well. Well, these two have started incredibly well here.
Oh, delicate. Holden following the lead of Eskenazi. There have been 8 boundaries in this game already. 8 boundaries in 15 balls, I think I'm right in saying.
Do you know, it just cast me back seeing these boundaries counts now. So that game...
16 balls, sorry.
That game back in 2011. Another of the outgrounds, Uxbridge. I think most viewers will know which one I'm going to go to. It was another one where Middlesex were burnt by Gloucestershire.
Oh, tricked hit. Excellent work. Difficult to give that close for the umpire. Live. Ian Blackwell at that end today. Paul Pollard, the other central umpire. Peter Such, the match referee.
Yeah, that game, Kevin O'Brien, Hamish Marshall, O'Brien 119, Marshall 102, opening the innings.
Oh, another one. This is extraordinary batting from Eskenazi. That makes the end of 3 overs. Middlesex up to 44 for none 9 boundaries in 18 deliveries in this game.
I'm scrambling to see what they had when they put on what was then a record. What they had after 6. Oh, there we go. So Gloucestershire, when they set that record back in 2011, was 70 on the board at the end of the power play. It's pretty mediocre going nowadays.
They're going to have that covered the way they're going, these two. Payne's been swung around to the pavilion end. Feels like we can touch him. We're so close. Our commentary position at long off when Holden's on strike. Yeah, mentioned off the top the average scores here at Radlett. When you bat first, the average is 183. Bat second, 184. Which doesn't make a lot of sense, come to think of it. How can the average score batting second be higher than the average score batting first? Let's not dwell on that too deeply. Maybe some Duckworth-Lewis interventions. How do they stop Eskenazi? Off pace, that's how he's going to try anyway, while bowled.
Well, they're going to have to exhaust every option quickly here, aren't they? Certainly one thing is you can't go to the same bowler twice.
Remember when Eskenazi didn't get a 100 contract last year?
Extraordinary. Extraordinary. And that'll be on his mind here at the start, won't it? With all that time that he's missed at the start of this summer.
Sun's out now. Deep point patrolling that corner of the ground.
But again, isn't it extraordinary? I use the word evolution for these two, Eskenazi, Holden, how they've reshaped their game to make themselves such crucial players. There was a time, and I think if you'd have said opening pair Eskenazi, Holden and Eskenazi for Middlesex, a lot of Middlesex fans would have despaired, but obviously the two of them now are key performers.
Straight and good. Crashes into the board beneath us. That's Holden's third boundary, doing his job as well. What a start this is from the side that finished second last in their group last year, and on occasions looked so far behind the pace in the shortest form of the game. Start as you mean to go on. 50 partnership up in 3.4 overs. Make that 54-run partnership in 3.5 overs. Marvellous batting. Holden using the pace, using the angle. There was a deep third to start the over, but they've made the adjustment, gone to deep point and deep square, and Holden with perfect execution. 4 fours for him. Up to 20 from 9 balls. Difficult to keep up. So the first 50 coming in 22 deliveries. Out to deep square, so another massive over. Well, I say massive. In context, 11 runs off it. And Payne has already conceded 20, not on the board. I'm not going to struggle to do this at the top of my head. 26 from 2 overs.
Quick pub quiz for you, and don't worry, this is not a stitch-up.
Okay.
It is a pub quiz, so it could go one or two ways. But like, no idea, Kev, just tell me, or I know. Which Gloucestershire player from that side, playing for Gloucestershire that day, is still playing for Gloucestershire today?
Which year was it again?
2011.
2011. Could it be Ian Cobain?
Top work from you. Right, 3 Middlesex players. Now, this is the real trip-up.
Okay. 3 Middlesex players that played in 2011.
Total trip-up. There was 3 players from Middlesex.
I'm going to guess
playing for Middlesex that day who are playing today.
I've got Toby Rowan-Jones penciled in.
Well done.
Made his T20 debut that year. Higgins. Oh, look at that. Have that. Max Holden, if you duck in the crowd behind those boards, that is bulleted to the rope. Yeah, I thought it was going to be Simo. I'll crack at this. So Roland, Jones and Simpson. The third might be where we get tripped up here. I fancy Morgan, but it almost has to be Morgan. Maybe it's Higgins, given that he's bowling for the opposition at the moment. Is that closer to the mark?
It's very, very close to the mark, but it's not Higgins.
Another player that's moved over. Okay. Tom Smith. Making room. And running back with the flight. Taken. Good work. So a brilliant opening partnership comes to an end. You could see what Holden was trying to do. Open up the offside once again. But running back at point, Higgins gets the first wicket. Hammond, the man running back. 61 for 1. They've still got 10 balls left in this power play, Kev.
Yeah, needed a breakthrough, didn't they? Here comes Cracknell, the man that we were talking about. The first, going back to that side, 2011, Sterling was in. The first player for Middlesex for me to break through and really look, as though he can naturally come in and make an impact in T20. Got that call up to the 100. No call up for Eskenazi, as you mentioned. Nudging glove, this pair. One who should have been in, one who did incredibly well to break through. So, brilliant start. Had the right to keep going, and the onus is on them to keep going and swing hard at everything with the start they've got.
So Cracknell comes in. Loved Radlett last year. Back-to-back innings early in the season where he was able to raise the bat against Gloucestershire and Hampshire. Off the mark first ball, leg by. Looking to Ian Blackwell, it is leg by. I should say that if you're joining us on the coverage, at about 10,000 people are there at the moment, you can drop us a comment in the text box. You need to register to issue a comment these days, so there's hopefully no more bots and trolls and all the rest of it. Four more. Eskenazi. He's trying to score a boundary off every delivery, and why not in this kind of nick?
Yeah, this is an incredible start. It really is. And against their bogey team. To do this at the start against Gloucestershire, this is a great way to start the tournament for Middlesex. A great boost in terms of morale and confidence. I'm going to put that scorecard away now since the first wicket's fallen, because the first wicket fell in that record score at 192, Kevin O'Brien.
Off pace. Still got a couple for it. Eskenazi into the 40s. In just 16 balls. Search for the record books, Kev. What's the quickest 50 for Middlesex in the blast?
5 minutes. I won't even say 2. 5 minutes.
We might need to know shortly. Eskenazi retains the strike. 1 over left in the power play. 69 for 1. 41 from 17 deliveries.
My money's on Paul Sterling as we all scramble to make sure we've got the right stat. But what a start this is. 1 over to go with the power play. I was at the Oval last night to watch their last warm-up match against the Cricket Development 11 from Sri Lanka. Astonishing performance from Will Jacks at the top. With Jason Roy in that one. They look a very well-balanced team this year, Surrey.
What a start. Already above 70 with 5 balls left in the power play. That's Eskenazi's 9th 4. No sixes. He's done it along the carpet for the most part. Just controlling it through the gaps, taking advantage of the small playing surface and the quick outfield.
Owen Shah and Tyrone Henderson. 19 balls.
Well, this is his 19th delivery here. Can he go big and join those two who have done it before for Middlesex? No, won't be. We'll forgive him.
He's now batting coach at Middlesex, Owen Shah. Back with the team. He's been around a couple of weeks, Shah, to help out with confidence of the batters, the technique, skills, all the ones that he has. Shah's 19 was versus Hampshire, Southampton, 2005. That wasn't bad going for 2005 by Shah. I'm reckoning that's going to be one of the earliest records.
Well wide.
No prizes for guessing when Tyrone Henderson's fastest 50 was. I should have remembered this instantly off the top of my head. It was against Durham in the semi-final on Blast Finals Day in 2008, the year Middlesex lifted the competition.
Owen Morgan was in that team that night. He's in the team today. Cracknell's turn. All the way. As he so enjoys doing. Cracknell, one of the biggest hitters going round.
Just hits it so sweetly, doesn't he? We always go back to that story at Lord's, Old Father Time, just below him. Little tower that leads up to him. Had a hole put in it.
It was the 67 and 77 he made here in consecutive innings last year against Hampshire and Gloucestershire. They got him on the map and gave him a chance in the 100 as well. Finished only second to Eskenazi for runs for Middlesex in 2021. At a strike rate of 137. Made an unbeaten 79 last week in the 2, so he's in good nick, Cracknell.
Would you believe that match where Shah hit his in 19 against Hampshire at Southampton in 2005, it was not far off being the record at that stage.
Doesn't get all of it, but it still spills away for 4. And everything is going right for Middlesex so far.
This is truly incredible now for Middlesex, isn't it?
I wonder what their biggest power play is. I mean, difficult stats to pull together, but they've got 1 ball to go and they've racked up 85 runs. This must be record breaking. Absurd stuff. It's a massive over. Naseem Shah's conceded 27 runs in 1.5. Does he beat fine? He does! Make that 89 a power play of 89 for 1. What a start to the season for Middlesex.
Wow. Just wow. Mentioned that Roy and Jack's partnerships. Of course, they were the ones that went ballistic against Middlesex a couple of years ago at the Oval. That opening pair that put on 100 in no time at all. Virtually within the power play, I think it was that night. Well, they're not far off tonight. Middlesex 89 on the boards, and sensational from Esky, and it's just been good clean hitting, hasn't it? It hasn't been that destructive launch over the boundary ball after ball. He's just sweetly struck it all around Radlett this evening. Yeah,
I think that's right. The only 6 we've seen by Cracknell was, even that was with a degree of control. It wasn't like he was trying to hit it onto the Salters field. It was just going far enough. Benny Howe here. Pace off straight away with Bracey up to the stumps. Field goes back.
This is looking a cracking toss to lose for Middlesex tonight. They've been sent out there to set the score. Right, let's see how you go. We'll see how we're going to bat on it. What we're actually seeing is Middlesex are learning pretty hard and fast here how they're going to bowl on this themselves. Already, I'm sure Coleman, Richard Johnson, 2 fine bowling coaches, now head of men's performance cricket and head coach. Jade Dernbach as well, the bowling coach. Now the 3 of them will be sitting there, I'm sure, saying, right, it's a fast scoring ground, it's a big scoring ground tonight. How are we going to bowl on this?
So the journeyman Benny Howe hasn't been playing in recent months, out injured. His last game was on the 24th of February in the PSL. Was at the IPL with Punjab but didn't play. There's 131 wickets in the blast for Gloucestershire. Catches the call, but beats the man running towards us here, Naseem Shah. You'll probably see us in shot.
What a shot
for a couple.
Sorry, I should say what an arm, that's what I meant to say. Yeah, I think one of the things that we've seen so far, pace off, they haven't got it away, they haven't been able to launch, and that usually is a story here at Radlett.
Well, Benny Howe's the man to do it, the man of a million slower balls. That's Eskenazi's half-century complete. 50 in 22 balls for Eskenazi. 9 fours. And we saw last year he make a 60-ball century against Essex at Lords. Well, he's on track for something very special today. What a start to the season for the new captain of this Middlesex Blast team.
And there was a wee bit of criticism for that century. They did it too slowly, wasn't there? Which is extraordinary to say. No such criticism tonight. He was itching last week. He was going to come up and join us on the mic, wasn't he, in the last match at Lords in the championship game. He promised to do so in a couple of days. Actually, he'd asked to do so. That's how desperate he was to get back in amongst the action for Middlesex. Bitter blow for him. Sitting out since the first game against Derbyshire in the championship, but making up for lost time pretty quickly here.
Another leg by.
So that 2005, we got distracted by a boundary, didn't we? That 2005-19 from Shah.
I should say into the over 95 for 1.
There were 2 better scores at that stage. I said there was 1. There was actually 2. And would you believe? One was against Middlesex at Kent. Maidstone it was. The year before I started up, 2004. Andrew Simons, 18 balls. He smashed in 2004. So that was the initial record. Shah went close to beating it the next year at Southampton. The one that did beat it, though, came in April of 2005. It wasn't in the T20 Cup, though, the then Blast.
So the experience of Tom Smith. Against his old club, left arm orthodox. And Slade through the covers first ball. Wow. The power of Cracknell.
It's the difficulty, a little bit of width. I think they've got to bowl it straight and ask him to go across the line here. We've said pace off so far, and they haven't particularly got it away, but a wide one start up from Smith allowed Cracknell to free up the arms. Can't do that tonight at Radlett. I think you've got to go at the stumps, and you've got to try and make the batter make this mistake off the stumps. They will score off the stumps, but they're scoring everywhere tonight, aren't they? So you've got to put it on the stumps yourself as a bowler.
Smith has 137 wickets in the Blast. Only 2 active players have more than him. Oh, across the line against the spin. It doesn't matter. Cracknell, his second big one. That's gone a long way over the cricket nets just about.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And look, I don't want to be too critical of bowlers here, but Smith's given him a little bit of width again, which has allowed him to free up that arm, free up the arms. You know, that it was there. Ooh. It sat up nicely, outside off for him. That's going. So that's what I'm saying. He perhaps got to go that little bit straighter as a spinner this evening in particular.
On track for a giant score here. Happy with 1.
And where we've said for the quicks, the slower balls have been the way so far for Smith. It is that straighter ball, but quicker, darted in, that he's going to have to challenge the batters in that way. Amazing contrast this evening here.
Up and over. Let the good times roll. Eskenazi's 10th 4.
Yeah, bisects long off and deep cover. Beautiful shot inside out.
That is fabulous batting. Again, just knowing that he can place it to that boundary. Doesn't need to overhit it.
Can only say it again, for fear of repetition though, no more width. Got to be on the stumps. The one ball, that column in your bottom right there, 4 balls bowled. All 3 boundaries so far have been with width.
Across his stumps. Blimey. That is some kind of cricket shot. Across the stumps, into position early. Yeah, there's a deep square leg, but Eskenazi says, I don't care. I'll pop it straight over his head. His first 6 into the 60s.
That's just clever
24 balls.
Sorry, Colin. That's just clever cricket, isn't it? From Eskenazi, because he knows he's got to go straighter on this one. 50 partnership up already. Extraordinary from these two.
That 50 partnership, they came together at 4.2. So they've been together for 21 balls. So the first 50 partnership was in 22 balls. The second 50 partnership has been in 21 balls in this game. Wild stuff. Already 21 runs from the over. 1 ball left. I mean, he was straighter on the stumps there, Kev, but Eskenazi foreshadowed it. He knew where he was going to be. Took on the short boundary again. They're all short boundaries here. Flat to finish. Eskenazi retains the strike. 22 from it. 8 overs gone, 117 for 1.
No chance for chat tonight, is there? So let me wrap up this story. 2005, it was Silicate versus Lahore Eagles in Lahore. Imran Nazir hit a 14-ball 50, which notched off that 18-ball 50 that Simons had hit the year before. And then the following year, or that same year, sorry, in 2005, as the record charted it in 19.
I'm kind of surprised there's not been like a 10-ball 50 yet. I mean, of course, you could do it in 9, but I'm surprised there hasn't been sort of the perfect day where someone's achieved that. Soon enough, I'm sure. Eskenazi on strike to Howe. So Howe had just 5 runs taken from his first over. So 8 overs for 117 before that delivery, and Howe's the only one that's had any degree of control over the situation. Two's the call. They're through comfortably. Gosh, if these two bat the whole way through, and it'll take some doing, but oh, that's how nearly takes Cracknell's off stump. If they keep going at a similar clip to this, they could break a bunch of records over the next hour or so.
Also be a lot of fans going home disappointed not to see Pinky the Panther, see Owen Morgan, including Pinky the Panther in the background there.
So Middlesex have won 3 of the 4 games they've played at this ground. The only game they lost was against Gloucestershire in the dark last year. Had an excellent win against Hampshire. Thanks to a blistering half-century from Cracknell, who's batting now. Sealed with a couple of Chris Green 6s at the end. Chasing more than 200. Chops on! Excellent from Howe. Different slower ball every delivery. And Cracknell trying to heave him out over mid-wicket again. Bowled for 26.
Gee, they needed that, Gloucestershire. Howe the man to come up with the goods. A great surprise there. Variations, as you mentioned, from Benny Howe. Disappointment for Cracknell, but that was a great little cameo, wasn't it? 26 from 15. He's done his job. Get in, keep going. And that means England captain Owen Morgan makes his way out at number 4. And again, good number, would have been delighted to see that.
So the opening partnership was 61 from 26 deliveries. The second partnership was 61 from 23 balls. Correction, I think the first part, sorry, I'll go again. Let's try a second time. 61 from 26 was the first partnership. And the second was 61 from 27. And Eskenazi's got 62 to himself, as he's joined by Owen Morgan, the England captain, who joined Middlesex during the first edition of the Blast, or the first edition of the T20 Cup back in 2003. Won the tournament in 2008. Still going strong at 35 years of age. Albeit moving into a different phase of his career. Not at the IPL this year, for example. We mentioned before that he won't play games in consecutive days this year, so he won't play tomorrow. Just managing his body, as he pointed out to Will McPherson in the paper yesterday. He's arrived at the view that if he tries to play 2 games in 2 days, the probability of him getting injured goes through the roof. So he'll manage that over the next couple of weeks before a very busy home summer. Then a World Cup in Australia in October. He's played 355 T20s, Morgan, for nearly 7,500 runs. Strike rate of 131. 37 50s. 115 of them been for England and Ireland and T20 international cricket. Averaging 29 and 112 for Middlesex over that long career. Higgins again to Morgan. His second over. Great tweet in here from Nick Friend, who's the cricketer's outstanding correspondent on all things county cricket. Glenn Phillips, who's stationed at Long On, he's quoted him in the field saying, "I've never seen an outfield this fast ever, and I played Eden Park." Eden Park, of course, in Auckland, where anything is possible in T20 cricket. I was at a game where 250 was chased down in 18 overs a few years ago between New Zealand and Australia. Taking full advantage of the quick outfield so far, Eskenazi.
It's a night of stats, isn't it? I was just thinking, as you say, that record run chase there. A game that had sprung to mind for me was Middlesex conceding in the power play. I haven't found how many Middlesex's record in the power play is. It may well be that we've just seen it there, but we'll confirm that. But they did. I was thinking, what have they conceded?
Outside the line.
Now, 2011 against Gloucestershire, when they hit the then record, they'd only hit 70 in the power play, as we just looked up. The Middlesex-Surrey match, alluded to it a few moments ago, when Middlesex racked up 221 for 5 at the Oval, and Finch and Roy went mad, and Surrey won by 9 wickets with 24 balls to spare.
Clever. How has that gone all the way? That's absurd. Eskenazi doing his best Joss Butler impersonation there, up to 69. Nice.
That's a shot he's brought into his game over the last couple of years, which is just quite extraordinary. To be able to reinvent yourself, as Stephen Eskenazi has, is quite breathtaking, really. And that shot, I think, in particular, is the one where, in that century you mentioned last year off 60 balls, that was the one where he was really showing off by that point.
So he's reached the 70s in 29 balls, Eskenazi, 10 4s and 2 6s. Imagine he bats through the innings. This is going to be gigantic.
Smile on the face of Ryan Higgins there. His old mate, Eskenazi and Gubbins, there were a few of them at Middlesex at the time trying to convince him, don't go to Gloucestershire. Look, you're nailed on for a place here. As he was. He'd have played every game of 2018 if he'd have stayed.
So halfway there, Middlesex 133 for 2. Yes, you're hearing that correctly. I'm going to hand over lead commentary to Kevin Hand. I'm going to look up some stats.
Yeah, exactly. So let me tell you those last bits of those. So this was 2018, this match at the Oval. Off the power play, Surrey had reached 98 without loss. I mean, that night when Middlesex went on to hit 222 for 1, there was a century for Paul Sterling. I should say, off 6 overs. They only had 62 for 1 on the board. So that's how far they went thereafter. Surrey, in reply, 98 on the board without loss after 6. And, yeah, a victory with plenty to spare. Here's Hal. And there's Eskenazi. 4 more, cut away beautifully. Not that wide from Hal. Eskenazi, though, is on fire tonight for Middlesex.
How's the one bowler who's been able to keep things under control so far? But, yeah, first time he's dragged it down, and Eskenazi's not going to miss out in this kind of nick.
Perhaps a little bit more width than I actually thought on that on first look. But Eskenazi's is saying this nick, it was just easy, wasn't it? Barely had to reach for it all. Sweet timing. Gave him the step, then drags him. That's a deep mid-wicket, just a single. Eskenazi keeps going. He's on to 75. 138 for 2. So that 2018 score that I was mentioning as well, that still didn't top the 106 that Nottinghamshire hit against Durham. Hales was the man. Star of the show. They hit 106 in the first 6 way back in 2017. Hal just orchestrating the field slightly. Oh, edged away. It'll be 4 more. Morgan's first boundary off a thick edge. Big O and an R. Another day the gloves might have just been in position for that one, but Morgan moves to 6.
I mean, by even uttering this, it'll never happen, but the highest score in T20 history is 278 for 3. That was Afghanistan against Ireland a couple of years ago. Highest in the blast was Yorkshire against Northants at Headingley in 2017 when they made 260 for 4. That might be within range, you know.
Hey, Colo, we better be good. Stream numbers going up, 12,000 at the moment. Evening to you all, wherever you're tuned in around the world. Good to have you with us here at Radlett. Slow ball. Morgan just chops down on it, a single. He's always been a steady starter, Morgan, hasn't he? We saw him step across and edge that one a few moments ago, but the England captain, what a boost it is for him. For Middlesex, have him out there.
So the 2 highest scores that Middlesex have conceded in T20 cricket have both been against Gloucestershire, the aforementioned 254 game that you went through before, Kev. And then they also had 242 taken off them at Bristol in 2018. Hard running there for 2. Fabulous cricket. Eskenazi to the danger end.
I love that our summariser role tonight has basically just turned into stats, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to play the
when
role.
I'm summariser, I'm doing stats. When you're summariser, you're doing stats. So it's just straight to it.
You have to go through a fairly substantial list of punishing performances until you get a Middlesex game. That's Middlesex against Somerset in 2019. I think that was Morgan, wasn't it?
And de Villiers.
Yes, Morgan and AB.
Dragged away. Hasn't quite got hold of it. He'll pick up just a single though. That's great work from Smith. End of the over. 11 gone here at Radlett. Middlesex put in. They're 146 for 2.
Pioneer, adventurer, leader. It's an instinct to never stand still. Always striving, never settling. Why should investing be any different? After all, your investment challenges aren't standing still. So neither will we. Expect more with iShares.
Shah's back on, replacing Higgins. None for 27 from his 2. Sharp. Quicker it came, the quicker it went in the opening overs. How does he go against Eskenazi here? That's timed nicely, and that's 4 more. Just 1 bounce in front of deep square. The pick-up shot from Eskenazi, economy of movement from him with the feet, all in the hands and eye coordination.
Look at that. Again, it's he's played that shot about 6 times now, and all to perfection, where it's a swivel of the hips, and it's wonderful contact, but he's not hitting it that hard. It's his timing and placement. 82 from 34.
We've mentioned this a few times.
150 up already.
We've mentioned this a few times. The way that he scores in extraordinary areas. Steps across, slow ball. Oh, there's a mix-up. Oh, this could be the end. No, the throw misses. Eskenazi survives. Well, that would have been a horrible way to go. That would have been a real disappointment for Stephen Eskenazi if it had happened in that way.
Yeah, he sort of surrendered to it, didn't he? He was not even going to slide his bat. He was that far out. Had the direct hit, but on song. I've just dug out the highest score for Middlesex in the T20. You would have been at this game as well, Kev. It was Dan Christian, 129 against Kent at Canterbury in 2014.
Shorter, slower, just a single for Morgan down to long leg.
Yeah, Dan Christian. 129. Oh. Amazing the stuff you don't remember, Kev. It's staggering. I love it. So you know, 129 chasing. And they lost.
Hasn't got hold of it, but he will get 4 again. How many times have we said that this evening? Higgins won't get around. That's the nature of the ground here. And again, because of that mound up in the middle for the square as it is, as soon as that ball's gone outside the 30-yard circle, the fielder hasn't got a chance really, unless they're in a pretty close line to it, because that ball just skids on down a slope anywhere around the ground.
Difficult to keep up at 87 from 36, 13 fours, 2 sixes. Crazy stuff. I'll say one thing about that Dan Christian 100. It was in a losing effort. So
that's why I don't remember it.
Yes, maybe so. They didn't chase down a 209 set for them by Kent that night. But Christian 129 from 57 balls.
Slower ball. Great adaptation. Is it? No. Gone. No, he's gone. Well, you just thought that maybe you'd managed to adjust. Maybe you managed to get it over. But Eskenazi's night comes to an end. What a night it was. Just wristily going for it and gone. And it's short third. So Eskenazi's innings comes to an end. But one of his finest. Up there with that century. Last year at Lord's. Brought up off 60 balls. Tonight, 87. Aussie accent. Makes his way off on 87. We should have looked for that number for him. Raises his bat around Radlett. Superb knock by Stephen Eskenazi. Back into the side after that finger injury and back into the side with a blast in the blast. Amazing from Eskenazi. 87 off 37. Van Meekeren with the catch. And Shah strikes. Middlesex 156 for 3.
I mean, seeing an innings like 87 from 37 isn't that unusual in modern T20 cricket. Not an everyday occurrence, but you see it from time to time. Usually, it'll contain a fistful of sixes in the power play. Eskenazi hit 1 6 in the power play and 1 6 after the power play. This was about controlled hitting, into the gaps, good cricket shots, and taking advantage of the lightning-fast outfield here at Radlett. One of the best innings you'll see.
Martin Anderson, the man we were talking about earlier, who believes that he should have been in the side last year in the blasts, blasted Middlesex towards victory the other day against Durham with a wonderful knock. They would have been struck on the hand and there would have been concern as to whether he'd been fit for this one, but he's made it to the relief of Middlesex. A nice shot to get off the mark. End of the over, 12 gone here on the live stream from Middlesex at Radlett. 157 for 3, so all eyes do turn to Morgan. Anderson in shot there will play his part, but it's the England captain now that Middlesex will need to be the finisher. The old role that he used to have for England, the finisher to come in. Well, it stopped us on the search for the Middlesex highest total, Collar. The Middlesex quickest century was the one that I was going for.
We can close a few tabs. Yeah. So quickest 100 shut down, highest Middlesex score shut down. Middlesex's highest score in T20 cricket still broadly on. But yes, it's reasonable to say that to keep up the tempo or keep up the pace that we've seen from Eskenazi and Cracknell and Holden as well off the top will take some doing.
Phillips on at the Sautersfield end. Oh, it's edgy. as a yes-no as well as a cry of catcher. I wasn't sure that it had carried straight that far off the leading edge. We'll see on the replay. They were excited about it. Phillips into the attack. That goes down the ground. High of catch. It's not going to happen. Straight to the long off. And Morgan stepping up the tempo. Gets beautifully underneath that one, doesn't he? That was the thing. Did he get underneath it too much? But no. Snap of the wrist from Morgan. So distinctive. That wristy effort from the left-hander. Sharp single. They're safe. Throw hits the stumps, but they won't get an overthrow. Tom Smith, which I was cruelly going to look up from that match back in 2011, was bowling for Middlesex when Gloucestershire hit the record score. I'll give you his figures in a moment.
The sound of crisps, so good. I'm addicted to that. I can't hear that sound.
Ricochets, rattles around Anderson. He'll be looking to get going straight away here. Plenty of batting to come, as we said. Smith went for 52 off his 4 overs that evening at Uxbridge. Little dance to the track and just a single out to deep square. Anderson moves to 3, 166 for 3, one to come of the over. He wasn't the most expensive of the lot that night, though. It was Anthony Ireland, 1 for 57 off his 4. At least he had a wicket to take away with him. Ireland, who arrived at Middlesex from Gloucestershire. Wasn't a welcome return for him that night. Nice drive again, just a single. Middlesex slowed down a little here by the loss of Cracknell and then Eskenazi. Expected to be really 167 for 3, end of the 13th.
It's a bit of an occupational hazard, isn't it, as a bowler in the shortest form, or in T20 cricket. I can't say the shortest form anymore. In one of the shorter forms. You will have days when you go for 50 plus, 60 plus, even 70 plus. I think a couple of bowlers have had a 7 in front of their figures in recent years. The key is not letting it get to you and backing up for the next game. And you know, I think most T20 bowlers have developed that resilience over the journey. Even just the fact you can have a good season with an economy rate of 8 point something, that's odd to anyone that grew up watching 50 over cricket or long form cricket. But
so Meekrin, onto the body. He's got short fine leg up inside the circle. Went too straight onto the body of Morgan. That's simple really. Tuck it away around the corner.
So Morgan's up to 20 from 11 balls too. His turn. We saw when Holden fell, Cracknell teed off for about 10 minutes. When Cracknell fell, it was Eskenazi's turn again. I wonder whether it might be Morgan going, I want in on this. I want 7 overs of carnage. I want 250. I want to finish on 80 of myself. Get greedy here. Cash in.
Better, right up there, slower towards the block hole, and Morgan can only turn the single.
And Morgan could do with that kind of innings too. I mean, it has been a little while for him, and that's not to question his place in the pecking order for England, but more just to state the facts really that he has dropped off in recent times, and starting the domestic season with a big score would do the world of good for his confidence, and just to remind the cricketing public, I suppose, that he's still got the goods ahead of a World Cup this October.
That's more into the slot for Anderson. Doesn't quite get all of it though. He'll just get a single. That's great work out on the boundary rope.
He's had a funny career in T20 cricket, Anderson. Played 10 games in the closed door season, 2020, all 10 games that Middlesex played, and made just 95 runs, and didn't get picked at all last year, as you were explaining, that he was just overlooked consistently, but was good in the second 11 last year in this form.
Oh, that would have been a wide. That was well outside off. Morgan just trapped the bat down on it.
Yeah, there's nothing to suggest that he hasn't got the skills for T20 cricket. Anderson made an exhilarating 62 from 64 balls against Durham last Saturday afternoon at Lord's. That might sound like nothing compared to what we've witnessed in the last half an hour or so, but in the context of that game, he really opened it up for Middlesex to press home the advantage and get full points against Durham. He played a massive part in that, along with Roland Jones.
Now, that's one bounce and 4. Well placed by Morgan. Yeah, not the maximum for a moment. I think there might have been around the ground a couple worrying that it might hang up there for a bit. But short boundaries here as well, so you're going to have to get around those ropes pretty quickly. But lovely from Morgan. 4 more.
Yeah, inside out from round the wicket. That takes some doing. Still going at 13 runs and over, Middlesex.
Sweet again, but just one. That won't trouble Morgan. He'll be pretty happy. 26 off 15. He's just setting himself up for the launch pad, ready to go. 178 for 3 off 14 for Middlesex, put in here by Gloucestershire Radlett in the opening game of this year's Vitality Blast.
In that over, when Morgan hit 24, he passed 7,500 T20 runs in his 356th game. Amazing. The longevity for the left-hander. Think of all the places he's played around the world, from Ireland to Middlesex to England to short-form cricket and just about every competition going. To 50 over World Cup glory 3 summers ago. What a career, what a story.
Now, where does it end up? In the trees, in the car park. Mind your windscreens. Oh, they've parked facing the ground. Come on, schoolboy error. Everybody knows you've got to put your windscreens facing the other way.
Yeah, that's in the hitting zone, isn't it? Lucky that we haven't seen a car alarm go off as yet. He just waited on that, didn't he? On the back foot. Picked the off-pace delivery and was able to lift it up towards the cars.
It's James on his way around to get it. Come on, down your knees, underneath the car somewhere. You have to get your clobber dirty.
It was down the other end, wasn't it? Down the Salters Field end, where in the hedge we were all climbing in there a few years ago in the first class game when there was no fans here.
That was a great shot that year, wasn't it? Do you know who got that one?
Was it
that
Tom
one went
Helm?
around for a bit.
Or Phil Salt? One of the two. I remember both of them hitting a number of bombs down that way. Tom Helm in the first game, Phil Salt in the second. But yeah, with no one able to get the ball, it was all hands on deck.
That's James who hands out the swag. So that means he's got plenty of his own. So he can get down there, get dirty, on your knees, have a look around. Can we get a soundproof box away from the producer, please? Commenting on our every word. That would have slipped by you and I, Colo. Oh, big mix-up, and gone. Ouch. There's been a few this evening from Middlesex, dropping it, looking for the single into the offside. And Anderson departs on this one. Gone for 4 from six face. Disappointment for him. Morgan sends it in back. Set off, it was never really there. They were running the misfields. One of those little tricks you taught in the early days. Never run the misfield. 185 for 4. Disappointment for Anderson. It won't be tonight for him.
Does bring Simpson out though. He's been hot of late as well. Simpson averaging 70 in county championship fare across 6 games. And it was at this ground last year where Simpson hit a blistering half-century to claim victory against Hampshire alongside Cracknell.
The biggest hitter of the ball still at Middlesex, I think, isn't it? I don't think anybody's topped or claimed that title from him just yet.
Yeah, it was odd last year that, notwithstanding that half century to win the game against Hampshire, that this was the format that he struggled in, just 143 runs at 14 across the entire season. But yeah, when he's on, especially down the ground, what a force.
It's good. Needed this. Gloucestershire. Just a single again. Simpson off the mark, second ball. Wants to come the over. It's typical Morgan. He doesn't panic like this, does he, when the runs are drying up a little? But then that's not a bad strike rate, is it? 34 off 18, so nothing too much for him to panic about at all. But he'll look to be that calm, cool presence he always is. Simpson, likewise, plays the game in the same way. And yeah, if these two do get going... Yeah, Morgan took part in that big hitting competition against Simpson, but Simpson absolutely smashed it out of the park. Against Morgan McCullum, I think took part in it. Was it Franklin as well? Maybe not McCullum.
How did they run it? How did they do it? Was it a bowling machine?
A bowling machine from the pavilion end at Lord's.
Right.
And the four of them, I'm trying to think, it can't have been McCullum now, can it? It must have been, because Franklin and McCullum wouldn't have overlapped, I don't think. So, yeah, Franklin was one of the biggest hitters at that point. Morgan obviously is going to be in there, isn't he? And Simpson as well. So they were all tracked, the balls, as they tried to clear the pavilion. And yeah, bowling machine set up from the pavilion end. Here's Payne. Oh, down the leg side again. It's a mistake. Short fine leg up inside the circle. That's just making it too easy for Owen Morgan. He moves to 38 from 19.
Couple of gifts from Morgan on that line outside the leg stump. Help yourself. Just had short fine to beat.
Ball's gone again. Another delay to go and find it. Ah, there we go. The famous hedge. Something about an outground promotes bad behaviour in the commentary tent here. That refreshment, Vaz, looking pretty good in the background.
Yes, please. What do I need to do them to ferry something over to me from the refreshment van over there? And what will it take?
What's your tipple, Colo?
Lager, sometimes cider. Picking that up? Surely. Am I the only one who's understood my own joke there?
No, go on.
Just an office line. Just an office line.
What, Ricky Space one?
Yeah.
Lager sometimes.
Lager, sometimes cider. Anyway, it's fine.
Those two are too young. It's my fault for not getting that one.
No one's got my office reference there.
There's a defence for the two Ollies. They're too young.
I suppose I'm in the right, in the sweet spot. Ooh.
Oh, another sharp single, and this time the throw misses. Simpson just 2 from 3. Again, I think Morgan will be saying the same thing to Simpson. Look, don't panic. Just give yourself a couple of balls here and get in. Don't I don't feel the pressure from what's gone before. It so often happens, doesn't it, when you do see an innings go big at the beginning and then it just capitulates under that pressure at the end where everybody feels they've got to keep going. They keep swinging too hard too early. It's good from Payne. Very good indeed. Just a single again for Morgan on to 40. Payne had got that call up to England alongside John Simpson.
We've got 14,000 people watching the stream at the moment, Kev. Hello, everybody. Some first-time listeners. I can see a couple of people identifying themselves as that.
Oh, chip back and gone. Soft one. Payne's bowled well, really well in this over. 4 off the first ball, but look at how he's come back in the over. Wicket last ball, and just dollies up from Simpson. Pace off again, though. That's what we identified early on for the quicks tonight. They've got to take the pace right down on this track.
Yeah, good. Out the side of the hand, almost a leg break. Gets the desired result with the leading edge. 16 gone, 194 for 5.
It's interesting, isn't it? We talked about Cullen and how he went here using the pace, going at the neck of Vince almost, just ball after ball last year in this game. As we've seen this evening, though, any pace on, that ball's gone. In every way imaginable. Here's the promotion I thought they might do. Green's come up one, who is a strong, powerful hitter of the ball again. So comes in ahead of Holman. What that also does is make it a right-handed, left-handed pairing. There's Tilan Wallaluita getting warmed up. Simpson will make his way back up around those steps there to the balcony. Richard Johnson, Rory Coots, the club coach for Middlesex.
Yes, a couple of people here saying they're watching for the first time. Jack Dudman, hello to you. Andrew Moscatelli, hello to you as well, watching our stream here at Middlesex on the YouTube page. Jump in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from.
9 off 9, that partnership, which at this stage looks slow, doesn't it? But again, as they nudge gloves there, I think Morgan will say to him, look, there's time. 4 overs is a long, long time. 5 down. We don't want to be a 7 down going into the 18th. So Higgins will have a chance here to try and tie him up for an over. To slow things down once again. Morgan will be aware of that as well, I think. And Morgan's mantra, obviously, has always been go big or go home, hasn't it? Keep going, keep going, keep going. But I think he recognises tonight that he can afford a few overs like this. Steps across, just a single down too long on. That wickets column. Middlesex can still easily be thinking about 250 here, can't they? But they don't need to go for it this very ball.
A lot will hinge on how many deliveries can Morgan face in the final stretch. And look, that's no slide on Green. We saw last year what he can do when there's a short boundary involved. And Green plays so much cricket when doing my prep for today, like realising that when he rocked up here last year, he played about 100 T20s. It's up to 137 now. He's wherever there's a comp going around the world, Chris Green finds himself on the list. His second year here at Middlesex. Took a hat-trick for the club last year too. On debut, wasn't it?
That's a great ball. Oh, that's the ball of the evening, isn't it? Nice for Higgins. Hasn't been one for the bowlers tonight.
That's a Higgins red ball special. That's why he's so impactful as a championship bowler. That's had enough time to angle in, swing away, and then actually swing again into the gloves of Bracey. Beautiful stuff.
Chip down for a single too long on for Green. Yeah, down at Canterbury, that game you're talking about. It was a beaut. Last 3 of the innings.
And he's available at the moment on the basis that Mujib's not. So almost identical fashion to last year. Mujib was meant to start the year in 2021. Had some visa issues, some COVID issues around getting into the country and had to wait his turn. And Green got first crack.
Gets underneath it, Morgan. Where's the placement? Oh, has he held on? Wow, what a catch that is. Hammond, what a catch. Goodness me. It didn't look like he had a chance on that one. That is a stormer down at long off. The far end of the ground from us. He dived down out of sight. The mound in the middle that we have to look over to see it. That's a stunning catch and a big name to take as well. Huge wicket here for Gloucestershire.
You can get a bit blasé about running back with the flight outfield catches. We see so many of them in this era of modern cricket. T20 prompts that kind of athleticism, but there's nothing easy about running back with the flight over the left shoulder and timing, putting the hands out, and Hammond timed that to perfection.
Luke Morgan heading out. Good from Higgins as well. Really good from Higgins. Just sent it that little bit wider, didn't he? Morgan stretching for it, scooped it in the end, but not in the modern way scoop, in the old-fashioned scoop. Scooped it up in the air down the grounds. So Luke Holman comes out. Again, a pretty decent striker of the ball. Saw him put together a beautiful innings the other day at Lords against Durham. And indeed, down at Hove, hit his highest first-class score.
Funny season for Holman last year. He started pretty well. He made a half-century in his second game. It was a 51 from 33 against Kent, the identical score to what he made at Kent the previous year, but didn't have a score above 15 for the rest of the season. Finished with just 130 runs at 16 across the stretch, across the 12 games he played. Was more effective with the ball than the blade. But yeah, as we've seen in consecutive seasons, he can hit a quick 50. So can he stick the landing for Middlesex here?
That's going to be close again. Let go by umpire Blackwell on this occasion. Top ball it is to end the over. Cracking over from Higgins. We said it at the start of the over. He'd have the opportunity to get the runs down at this point. Also managed with that wide Yorker to get the wicket of Owen Morgan. Huge scalp. Great innings from Morgan, 197 from 6. There's still a job to do. Someone else has got to be the finisher tonight for Middlesex. Both of these capable. Green certainly teed off before in this competition.
Yeah, and to the credit of Gloucestershire that they have dragged it back a little bit here too, and they've done it the old-fashioned way with wickets. Remembering the second wicket fell when the score was 122 in the 9th over. That gives some sense about how far behind the game they were. It's plausible they could keep this to 220 odd. And they'll fancy that on this ground. That's roughly what Middlesex chased against Hampshire here last year.
Just one. I think in two. Should just be one. We've already seen one mix up tonight. Yeah, look, started last over. We were saying Middlesex could still be thinking 250. Morgan's gone. Again, they've just got to be a little bit careful. Roland Jones is still to come. Big hitter of the ball. Cullen can bat at 10. Walla Luita, we've seen him produce some wonderful cameos as well. So you never know. They could go all the way down and keep going Middlesex.
It'll have to be these two, I reckon.
Low full toss put away. Beautiful from Holman. Absolutely cracking shot that. Slashed hard at it.
He's got those big arms, doesn't he, Holman? He's a big lad. Opens the batting in club cricket. He's been elevated further and further up the order in county cricket too. Had a blistering 82 earlier this season.
Not got all of it. Oh, it's another screamer. What a catch that is. Out at deep mid-wicket. Superb from Phillips. Right down underneath it. That's a brilliant catch. And Holman has to go. Didn't quite get all of it, but he must have fancied he was going to be okay with that one. But Phillips scooping the fingers down underneath. Superb work. Really, really good footwork. And you mentioned running over the shoulder just a few moments ago. Of course, he's running up the hill slightly here, so that ground's running out and him running up towards that mound that we keep mentioning that's the square.
Middlesex have lost 4 for 17 here across 3 overs. So 4 for 17 from the last 18 balls. When you consider where they were, this has been high quality work in the field from Gloucestershire to keep their composure at a really tough time. To get them back to a run of ball in that stretch. Only 3 wickets, but get a look at Toby Roland Jones here. Could still bowl them out. You don't see many teams bowled out for more than 200 in a T20.
We'd have to be
They're
searching.
unusual.
We'd have to be searching for records there, being bowled out from such a score at such a point as well. Be an almighty collapse. Oh, that got a little bit big. Breeze has got a little bit big here as well. Picked up on the commentary tent, just greyed over a little overhead. Let's hope that doesn't intervene. We had this last year with the weather against Gloucestershire.
A decent chance this tent might collapse upon itself here.
Didn't it do this before? Didn't we have that last year as well?
Yeah, that was a one-day game, I think. In the tent.
There we are. You can see those flags just above us. Now, not got all of it. It'll bounce in front of Phillips on this occasion, and they've got 2. They've just got to get it ticking again, haven't they? This pairing. Green is a very much stand and deliver launcher of the ball at the end. It goes again, but it's into the block hole.
Hampshire, 2 sixes in the last over.
18 gone, 2:06.47. So Holman departs as well. Just haven't got going, Middlesex. Since Morgan, but Morgan even towards the end, he was just being a little bit tentative as he saw those wickets going at the other end. It was Cracknell who came in with an amazing cameo at 3. Backing up Eskenazi after the fine start with Holden. Slow ball, nearly dragged on. Can it be Roland Jones? Funnily enough, all of his big hitting over the years, Roland Jones, and he's been renowned for extraordinary long handle shots. Hasn't quite set the world alight in T20. Average just 16 in T20 cricket. No 50s. That's in the air, but that's going to go as well. Long on underneath it. Another comfortable catch. Middlesex just can't get it going. It's hammered again. This time far more simple for him down at long on. And Higgins against his old club has another.
Hammond's 3rd catch. The first got rid of Holden. The second Morgan. And now the 3rd Roland Jones. And yeah, Higgins gets himself a 2nd wicket. Holden inside the power play. And now they are a genuine chance of bowling Middlesex out for 200 plus. We've got Nick Friend here. He identified himself on Twitter earlier. He's the kind of guy who can look that up quickly. Has it happened before in the Blast? It feels like the sort of thing that couldn't have happened too often at all.
Interesting they put Wallaluita up one as well, ahead of Cullen, who I think it's fair to say is the better batter, but Wallaluita perhaps the bigger hitter of the ball, and equally I think with Wallaluita in now they can just go for it from ball 1, the pair of them, and then whoever's left when Cullen comes in, his job will be just drop the single and rotate the strike.
Yeah, in that slightly wild 50 over game here last year against Durham, when we had a 2-hour rain delay and they came back out with 50 needed from 4 overs. We all thought the game was going to be called off. Wallaluita came out and hit 24 and an over, including 3 huge bombs over towards the train track, so he can do it too.
It'll be a wide. And it gets through. That helps. Middlesex needed that. Just needs something to get themselves going again. Signal by the umpire? Surely that was wide. Strange one from the umps that. That felt like a big wide outside off.
Yeah, they're lucky there.
Done well with the low full tosses, and as this innings has worn on, I think they've adapted better. Start, they weren't quite sure where to bowl on this pitch. It was a lot of pace on. They've mixed up the pace a lot better. Low full tosses, slower balls. Certainly a pace off pitch for the quicks, as we said. Again, low full toss, just a single, difficult to get away. Thinking too, it's not there. Oh, Miss Fields. No settle on that one though.
Well, you look at it, Higgins has got 3 for 28 from 3.5. What an outstanding return for the all-rounder. And he bowled one of those overs in the power play where he went for plenty. So he's dragged it back really well. 5 wickets late for Gloucestershire here.
It's a nice shot. And gets it away. Boundary for Wallaluita. We know he can do it. I mentioned that performance here last year. Ground he's very familiar with. Wala Luita.
You said about those low full tosses, another one of them there, but yeah, tying the pants off it. Just behind point, squeezing it through. Good stuff.
Potter's Bar Boy just around the corner. Local rivalry against Radlett. But yeah, knows the ground very, very well.
Yeah, a lot of twos cricket as well, and underage cricket coming through Wala Luita here at Radlett. Naseem Shah to get the 20th over. He's had quite the interesting evening. Bowled from both ends. 38 taken from his 3 overs. The wicket of Eskenazi, which turned this innings.
Tennis shot from Green. They come back for the second. Well run. That's really, really good running. Just had to adapt to the shot there, Green, and that's what he's capable of. He's got to manage this over. He's got a couple off the firsts. He'll want to see a lot of it.
Still a chance of Middlesex recording their highest score ever here. That was 227.
They're thinking 2 again. Should get it comfortably on this occasion. Wala Luita coming back. He'll have to dive. Oh, no dive.
Yeah, that was when they made 227 in 17 overs chasing against Somerset, with Morgan and AB having a night out.
It's amazing to think the way that this innings has changed, though, that Middlesex might be about to hit their record, but I think you and I are feeling a little bit flat here at the end, thinking they might be short tonight.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? They're 221 for 8 with 4 balls to go, and they've left a few out there.
You look at that worm for them, and the clutch of wickets at the end. Slow ball, that's well bowled.
In fairness, let's remember the start. They were 122 for 2 in the 9th over.
.217 for 7 against Hampshire was the highest previous.
Yeah, it's that chase we referred to where Green went bang bang to finish it with 2 big sixes.
That'll be handy now for Middlesex.
He's back on strike.
No, block hole delivery again. Looks at the toe end of the bat. Seen a lot of action the last few deliveries. Will he get one more go with the bat? He's going to call for a replacement. He's not happy with that one. Might get one more ball to tee off, but you can guarantee Wala Luita will be swinging hard here.
Good umpiring there. They've said, umpire Pollard said, you can have another bat if you're on strike for the last ball. Otherwise, stay put. We're not wasting 30 seconds for that. Good umpire.
They'll think about 2. They'll settle on 1 because I think Green wants the strike.
Ball.
No ball as well.
So they'll get the new bat. He'll get the Wonder Bat out here, Chris Green. The Homer Simpson Wonder Bat. Here it comes. With a free hit, with 2 balls to go. Pick your spot. If you've got a car parked on the eastern side of the ground, look out.
So we're back. We're back to the 2 sixes to end it from Green. Can he do it? So you know the rule of facing away from the ground with your windscreen in the car parks.
Absolutely.
So many didn't. Again, that's really well bowled, but that's a great shot down the ground. Chase on here, and that's going to be 4. Beautiful from Green. Great placement. Cobain was given a hard chase across the front of our commentary tent. There's the record.
New Middlesex record. How about that? A team that really struggled when batting first last year, Middlesex, time and time again. But not so today, principally due to Eskenazi. But support up the top, and yeah, Green looking to seal it in style.
Can they go into the 230s? He'll certainly be looking for a 6 here, won't he, wherever it needs to go. Underneath it might be a chance for Cobain. Great catch by Cobain at long on, right in front of us. That was superb work. Looks as though there might be a little spit of rain falling as well. It felt like he skidded into that one and did it beautifully up the hill to take the catch. So they end with a wicket. And 229.
Yep, 229 is where they finished, 9 wickets down. So no, nearly got bowled out above 200, which would have made us quite pleased. But you look back at it before we take our leave here for a moment. And Eskenazi, what a performance. 87 from 37 balls, only including 2 sixes. A partnership of 61 from 26 balls off the top with Max Holden, who was the first man to go for 27 from 12 balls. And then a stand of 61 from 23 balls with Joe Cracknell, who was the second man out for 26 from 15 after 8.5. For a time, he kept it going with Morgan Eskenazi, the third man to fall. He was out for 87, 37 deliveries in just 11.5 overs of the innings. And there was a clatter of wickets with Anderson, Simpson, Morgan, Holman, Roland Jones all falling in the space of 4 overs. But Green managed to take it from 207 to 229 by the time they're done. The highest score at this ground, the highest score for Middlesex across the 20 seasons of the Blast. Kev, we'll take a breather here at Radlett. And when we return, Gloucestershire. Can they chase down 230? It'll be fun. Speak in a sec.
to 10 this one?
Whatever you rather. I don't mind.
Yeah, cool.
Do you want to do 10? Yeah, okay, yeah, cool.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Radlett for the run chase. Middlesex, their record total, 229 for 9 here, and beating the total down at Somerset, which I've just been reliably informed as well, was achieved within 17 overs as well. So quite the record run rate as well tonight, what didn't require 20 overs.
The little whisper at the back is, gee, 230 doesn't look safe, does it? Isn't it odd they broke the record, and yet, and it's a sort of cool evening. You wouldn't identify this being a night for great power hitting, but such are the boundaries and the outfield and the surface in concert. I mean, you can see it, can't you? It would take something absurd, of course, but Middlesex are going to have to bowl and field well. This is not game over, far from it.
The big thing, I think, is that Middlesex should bowl better from the top than Gloucestershire did. It looked as though it took them a little while to adapt to the pace of this, i.e. pace off.
Yeah.
Once they got to grips with that, it felt as though the quicks went a lot better. Here's Green to get it going, though, for Middlesex. Right arm around. He's up against Hammond, first ball. Oh, that helps. That helps. Down the leg side, 5 wides. 225 more required.
Yep. Take 5 off it before a ball's bowled. Thanks for coming.
Ouch. Should say there's been a little bit of rain out there, hasn't there, in the interval. Just a spit towards the end of that innings we mentioned as Cobain went running for the final catch. Indeed, to remove Green. That's better. Dot ball into the offside. The live enhanced stream here from Radlett, from Middlesex County Cricket Club. Myself, Kevin Hand, and Adam Collins on the mic for you.
Hello, everybody. Hello again.
Much better from Green. Good response to that first ball. Went away for 5 wides.
Hammond last year made 222 runs at 18.5. Not a great campaign. Did hit 9 sixes, though.
Bristolly worked. Single out to deep mid-wicket.
Bracey's turn. He only made 55 runs in 6 games in season 2021, a high score of 33. That was against Middlesex in the game here at Radlett. I tell you what, Gloucestershire won in the dark that night. Whisper it, but the light's not going to be great here in an hour and a half.
Calls 2, but I think they'll settle on the 1. No, back they come. Throw to the non-striker's end. Yeah, they started at 5:30 last year, didn't they? 4:30 start this year, almost because of that game.
Ah, right. I thought that was 4:30 as well. Fair enough. I suppose we're trending towards the longest day of the year in a few weeks. So if you can ever get a game, even in murky conditions, to go to the distance, it's this time of year in the UK.
Oh, now that's got to be close, hasn't he? He's played all around it. Nothing doing on this one. Oh, not out.
Keen on the replay on this. I mean, my first instinct was that's out.
I think Bracey turned away thinking, I'm out, I'm out, I'm out. And then he heard the disappointment from Middlesex, and you can see he snapped his head around. Whoa, got away with that. Nurdled again. Just a single. End of the first. Oh, a little slip there from Holman. That's what they're going to have to watch out for here in the field. Who will that affect more? It is a little bit skiddy, much as it was that game last year, Colo. 9 without loss.
So contrast to the first over of Middlesex's innings where they struck 4 boundaries. And Toby Rowland-Jones, who's not played a game in the Blast since 2019. Think about all that's happened in the world since June 2019 when Rowland-Jones last played in this format. Bowled well that year. Took 19 wickets at 19.9 to stick with the theme. Went at 8.5 runs and over. But was injured in 2020 and injured during the Blast in 2021 as well.
Oh, it's a beauty. Lovely spot from Rowland-Jones.
Exactly where he's been bowling in the championship, where he's taken 30 wickets, 17 this season. Took 10 for 107 last week at Lords to defeat Durham. now 34 years of age, but he might have lost a yard, but lost nothing in terms of the skill that he's got. Back in the T20 team.
Oh, and again. Lovely from Roland Jones. Just shaped away, didn't it, from Bracey?
Yeah, perfect. Bracey trying to pop him on the train line, but no, sorry, other side of the ground, up in,
on the
over into the cars, the windscreens, but yeah, nowhere near it.
Yeah. Oh, that goes again away from him. A little bit of shape for Roland Jones. Cracknell was so excited with that one. He missed the ball being tossed back to him by Holden. And this is important from Roland Jones as well. I know Tom Helm, who's been that wonderful death bowler for Middlesex. Wonderful at the top as well, just still suffering with a side problem. I'm sure they'll hope to get him back into the side over the coming days. Away at Hampshire tomorrow. Swing and a miss. This is brilliant from Roland Jones.
That's 4 in a row. I mean, they've all done the same thing effectively. He's just altered his line, but the length has been the same and the trajectory has been the same from where he's pitching it. Perfect from Roland Jones. He might have got away with one that was a fraction wide, third up, but wasn't helped by the fact that Bracey swung so hard it probably went in favour of the bowler because of that. If it were a 50-50 call, it just looks so bad.
Gets hold of this one, and there you go. First boundary for Bracey. First boundary off the bat. And Gloucestershire away. 5th ball of the second.
Yeah, the first delivery on the line of the middle stump. The rest have been outside the off stump. Nice pick-up shot inside the power plate. 2 out on the leg side, a deep square and a deep mid-wicket.
Great over. Can he get out of it, though, after that boundary? Won't want another one to end. To the call. Just a single straight to deep square. And Green will open the bowling. 13 without loss after 2. Interesting who they turn to for the third. Whether they do go back to spin for one more at this stage. See if they can buy another over. It was a good first over from Green, but for that first ball, wasn't it? 5 wides. And it is going to be Green bowling second. Because this is really interesting, Colo. Gloucestershire didn't use spin until the 8th when they brought Tom Smith into proceedings. Now, Smith got it a bit wrong to start with and got slapped outside off when he bowled a bit too wide. But Middlesex going with that spin straight at the top.
Yeah, Green bowls a lot of overs inside the power play, as does Mujeeb, who will replace Green when they've got their full complement of overseas players here. Jason Berendorf, the other player en route to England. Oh, he's bowled him round the legs. All the way across his stumps there, Bracey. Has the leg stump bent back.
Good move, Stephen Eskenazi. Keep Green on. That distinctive big deep breath he takes before bowling. And nice one. Down the leg sides, and well, he pushed one down leg first ball, didn't he, for 5 wides. This one far more effective leg stump attack.
Just a little bit of variation too, gave it a bit more air. Wasn't quite as quick through the air down the other end, and it skipped on, and yeah, the edge of the leg stump, and gets himself in the book. Good start from Green. Especially when you consider that 5 of the 9 runs he's conceded so far were before he delivered a legal delivery. So away he goes. But yes, Green will make way when Mujeeb arrives, and they'll do a do-si-do again later in the season when Mujeeb returns to international duty for Afghanistan. In Green's case, he plays all around the world. Born in Durban, based in Australia, British passport. The Thunder in the Big Bash in Australia. Was in the KKR group last year in the IPL. PSL veteran. As I mentioned earlier, wherever there's a T20 comp around the world, you can be sure that Chris Green's getting a contract somewhere.
Ian Cobain, who has a quite simply incredible record against Middlesex. The last one from Gloucestershire from that 2011 side, as we mentioned earlier, but year upon year, Cobain, whatever the format, whatever the competition, he just churns out the runs against Middlesex. lost his place. Cobain in the other formats a wee while ago came back in against Middlesex, smashed the runs. 35 now. Reverse sweep on that, and it's away. Cobain's off the mark against Middlesex. There'll be a fair few out there who over the years have felt the wrath of Cobain in the Gloucestershire.
He had a remarkable winter, Cobain. Picked up in the Big Bash. He's sort of one of these 15-year later overnight sensation types. Played 6 games in the Big Bash and made 239 runs at 60. And Australian fans are like, who's this bloke? Where'd he come from?
Just a single.
Opened up the door to an opportunity in the PSL, where he played with the Karachi Kings. The story's a beauty, actually. He was playing in Melbourne in synthetic cricket, Cobain, and ended up in the Strikers when had a phone call from Dan Worrell, who was teammates with last year at Gloucestershire before he moved over to Surrey. One thing led to another in the Big Bash.
Yes, no. Calls yes in the end. It was the right call, because even with a slight stutter, they were still through. End of the third, 20 for 1.
I mean, imagine that. Imagine playing synthetic cricket in Melbourne. He wasn't doing that well either, so goes the story. And on the back of someone he played with at Gloucestershire last year who was aligned to the Strikers, I mean, the number of connections that need to go right for him there, and upon arriving, just exploded. I'm sure he'll have more cricket to play in Australia later in the year when the Big Bash starts again. Yeah, Peter Moore's picked him up for the Karachi Kings when Tom Abel was injured. Played a few games there in Pakistan. Welsh Fire last year in the 100. So, yeah, getting these opportunities later in life. After, of course, for so long, him being out of contention even for a county gig. Took a long time to get signed.
Edge doesn't carry to Walla Luisa. Throw comes in and misses. Catch at the cry. But just short. That light out there at the moment just dipped an awful lot, hasn't it? Quite quickly from the start of the match. Yeah, we mentioned the 5:30 start last year. The feeling was go at 5:30 last year because it just gave people a chance to get here after work. You know, quite the fancy going for 4:30 this year. One, the light, of course. But two, if you're going to get here for a 5:30 start, it's a good chance you've probably taken half a day anyway, so they may as well start the game at 4:30 and give the line a little bit more opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's right. Getting here by 5:30, I mean, you know, yeah, you're effectively leaving at lunch, aren't you?
Nice from Roland Jones again. Oh, get the single, slight fumble.
Think about where they were at this stage, Middlesex. They were, I think they'd reached 50 by, would they hit their 50th run from the 22nd ball, if I recall correctly? So they're not even half of that.
Oh, come and copy the opening over that one. It's just that extra bounce he gets. Climbs past the edge as they swing across the line. Not one of those classical T20 bowlers with... classical T20 bowlers? Can we call that now after 20 seasons? Classical T20 bowler. With all the variations, all the mix-up, back of the hand, slower balls. With the now bowling coach, famed for that, Jay Dernbach. But in all forms of cricket, just hits such an incredibly good line of length. Straight on that one, they've picked him up, and picked him up for 6. Great leap on the boundary rope there from Cracknell. But, well, it absolutely flew off of Fulham's straight length.
If anyone's going to drag it down, it's Cracknell. He's the man always stationed out on the leg side where he is so athletic, and yeah, even here at full stretch, couldn't drag it down. They'll need plenty of that. They already need to go at 12.5 and over.
Upish, but over the top. And over extra cover for 4. Now, where they were swinging almost across the line against Roland Jones, almost they swung with the bounce that he gets on that one.
Seems like a far better approach. In the first over, he was trying to take him, well, he was trying to be taken through the onside by Bracey, and it never looked likely. 4 overs gone, 32 for 1. Yeah, trying to go the direction the ball's moving can only be useful. Inside the power play, no one out on that side of the ground.
Spin again, Wallaluisa. Will bowl to Ian Cobain, the right-hander. So left arm around from the pavilion end.
Funny one, Wallaluisa. Didn't play at all last season. Played 1 game in the Blast in 2020. And in that game against Hampshire, he took 3 for 19.
Yeah.
Never sided again.
Decent start on middle and leg. Hit away just a single to Roland Jones.
And as often has been the case with Middlesex last couple of years in T20 cricket, it was still in a losing team, but he did pick up the wickets of Sam Northeast, Ian Holland and Felix Organ. 3 pretty good players in that 2020 spell down at Southampton. Just played 1 game in the championship in the first stretch, albeit a game where he never was required to bowl at Cardiff due to the
reverse. It was almost a switch hit, wasn't it? Throw comes in. Big risk for just a single.
I was going to say due to the conditions in Cardiff. It wasn't really that. It was that Middlesex, their seamers did it so easily. He was never needed. They didn't need to go to plan B because they were firing that week. They had the game done in 2.5 days. You were out in the dance floor, weren't you, Kev? No work Sunday. Off you go.
Oh.
Shot.
Mind your heads. That one kicks up over the advertising board and, yeah, sweetly struck. Hits it off the top of off as well, doesn't he? It was a really good shot. Just gave himself a little bit of room. The length, I think, he picked up on that one.
You always think you're in the game for a crowd catch here at Radlett due to the ramps, boundary boards. If it gets the right angle, it's like a slips catching cradle.
Chops away, no run. Just wasn't quite as short on that occasion for Cobain to give himself the room. It's amazing to think he only made his debut 11 years ago now, Ian Cobain, 35-year-old. That's upish. Cry catch just stopped on him slightly, but he didn't go fully through with the shot. On to come at the 5th. Yeah, former Lancashire second 11 player. I remember his debut season. That was the year Middlesex were promoted from Division 2. When Cobain got into the side. Oh, reverse again. Goes big with this one. That'll go all the way. Put down. Do they gather it cleanly on that one? 45 for 1. End of the 5th.
Yeah, it sounded like the crowd catch was put down. Or didn't want it. Oh! Oh! There's the colour of movement. The chap about 4 over who thought he was in the game. Did he have a pint in his hand? Either way, if he did, the pint's all over him now. Took a tumble. I mean, I hope he's okay, but thanks for the laugh as well.
I was just looking to see if he was back on his feet. Or whether the pint survives as well. Yeah, it was evasive action. Martin Anderson, last over of the power play. Skies it. Should be the 2nd wicket. Oh, just out of reach for Simpson. Not even the chance for him to dive for it. Couldn't have placed it better. A hole in the onside.
Bit of extra pace there from Anderson as well. His first ball. And they got big on Cobain.
Walla Luisa would have been the only one with a chance on that one, but he was miles away as well. Pace off on that one, yes, no. A little bit of shape as well from Anderson as he slowed down. Looked like it was going to be a beaut of a leg side pickup for Hammonds. Ball just shaping away from him though. A big swing and a miss. 46 for 1. Yeah, steep run rate required there, but it's just one partnership like we saw at the start of the Middlesex innings. Swings that one. Cryer catch it again. Oh, just short once more. Holden coming in from deep square. And is there an overthrow as well? Yes, no, mix up. Throws to the non-strikers end. Direct hit!
Yep.
And no!
No!
Oh, that had to be close. Had to be so close, that one.
Oh, I got swept up in that. I thought he was gone.
Superb work backing up. I think it was Luke Holman backing up the original throw from Holden.
Well, no here.
I think he
Or
broke
will
his
we?
bat as well. Did you see a little splinter came flying off it? There's the overthrow, and it is Holman who picks it up.
Oh, no. Fair enough. He was back.
Yeah, as I watched it live, and as I watched the replay there, I'm sure there's something flies off the bat when he makes connection with it. Has he noticed there's a little splinter missing?
Oh, yeah.
Crunch straight to Holden. That'll feel better for Middlesex. Couple of chances falling short. Feels nice when a sweet shot hits the fielder. Slow ball bouncer. Now that was looping over the head. Just looking at the umpires. No, one for the over. Nothing signalled. No, last ball to come of the over. Just signalling one for the over. It's a great finish from Anderson there. Another slower ball, shorter delivery. Cracking finish to the power play for Anderson. Very nearly the catch, very nearly the run out as well. And Gloucestershire finished the power play 47 for 1. A stark contrast with the Middlesex power play when they powered out of the blocks. And 85 on the board with Eskenazi going so strong with Holden to begin and Cracknell.
Yeah, I think they hit a boundary last, but was it 89 they got to from the end of the 6th over? Either way, it was a staggering power play which laid the foundation for a record-breaking score for Middlesex, reaching 229 for 9. And now conceding just 47 in the power play in context. That's a wonderful effort. Roland Jones a big part of that. And then Anderson conceding just 2 from the 6th over in his first game for a couple of years in this form of the game.
Holman's first over. First ball. Oh, slipping a slide again. It is going to be slippy out there. You can just sense it with the fielders that they are starting to just lose the footing a little. There's just a light mist of rain. It's been falling for a long while now. Holden's done well, though. Holman was just a little short first ball there, wasn't he? This will be the match-up now. Holman to the right-hander. That goes up in the air and gone at backward point. Holman strikes second ball. And it's Cobain who has hurt Middlesex time and time again over the year. Seems to be a consistent performer every match against them. He goes this time, though, for 13. And real dolly up to backward point. And a comfortable catch in the end for Martin Anderson. Max Holden, my apologies.
Just done by overspin there, wasn't he, Cobain? He went back to cut and just got big on him. Perhaps expecting the leg break, but where Holman's at his best in short form cricket, he's taking advantage of his height and getting the ball to just go on a little bit with extra bounce and gets himself a wicket second ball. Well bowled, Luke Holman.
Good start immediately out of the power play as well for Middlesex. Any thoughts of climbing into it, even with the field back. Here comes Phillips. Just had the one over with the ball. Just double checking on the catch. My first instinct was it was Anderson, but I thought in the replay it looked more like Coleman. I should have gone with my instinct, shouldn't I? It was Anderson. So Phillips half strike.
Phillips was remarkable last year. Made an even 500 runs at 56, a strike rate of 163.
Picks that one up. Oh. No need to run for that. Run for cover maybe. Out at deep mid wicket. Comfortably clears Holden in the deep.
Yeah, no shortage of confidence. Hit 36 sixes last year in that 500 runs. Since then went on to play the 100, CPL, IPL, Super Smash. Played in that World Cup final. Loss against Australia last year. Never really got going in that competition though. Averaged 38 in 100. And of course there's a 46-ball international century for New Zealand.
Back and across, just turns the single.
South African, originally emigrated to New Zealand, aged 5, was a kid in Auckland. And now touring the world as a 25-year-old, making his presence felt.
Just a drag down to long on. Into the over. Good start for Holman, 1 for 9. That one big pickup shot there from Phillips. The wicket as well, crucially as well, of Cobain. 56 for 2 after 7. Middlesex were 55 without loss by the end of the 4th, weren't they?
Yeah, they'll need a lot to go right from here, obviously. They require 13.4 and over to win. But again, we've said it repeatedly, but it's worth remembering with these boundaries and this outfield, and a player like Phillips who can clear the ropes pretty consistently, if one player gets in big time like Eskenazi did, well, the game could open up again. The problem they've got, Gloucestershire, is that Middlesex are keeping the runs very much in check and taking wickets.
That's up, and that could be another one, and it's held. Out on the boundary rope. Great catch out there by Cracknell. Punts the ball away in celebration, and 56 for 3. This is starting pretty well for Middlesex with the ball, just as they got off to a flyer with the bat. They're consistently picking up these wickets now, and Gloucestershire struggling to get going. You don't say that often against Middlesex for the visitors, but a struggle so far this year at Radlett.
Kicking the ball there, I like that. Yeah, Anderson nearly picked up a wicket with his first delivery with a short ball in the previous over. And on that occasion, it was that extra pace once more. False stroke. Hammond gone for 23. And they're in real strife now, the visitors. 56 for 3, 1 ball into the 8th over.
Cometh the hour. Cometh Ryan Higgins, the one that got away. There's so many players playing up and down the country, former Middlesex players, but Higgins is the one that I think all Middlesex fans look at and think they just wish, end of 2017, they somehow could have found a way. They were trying a lot. I wouldn't say everything. It's part of a negotiation, isn't it? You don't hand everything over. But they tried awfully hard to keep hold of this man, Ryan Higgins. I mentioned Eskenazi, one of his mates. Gubbins, another who's gone now. Gubbins tried so very hard to tell Higgins that he had a big future at Middlesex. But Bristol was the destination when he left in 2017. He was behind James Franklin in the pecking order. Felt he deserved his chance and didn't get it. Cry 2 gets off the mark with a single, 57 for 3.
Had a pretty good year last year. He in 3 of 7 innings, ended up being there at the end. The not-out man in victories for Gloucestershire. They won 5 of their first 7, and he was out there for 3 of those. So, average 38, strike rate of 143 through that stretch last year. But a lot of experience. His 88th T20. Played with the Welsh Fire in the 100 too.
Just one again. I'd slow up a lot at the moment as well when they required rate. Just touching 14. There you go. Climbs up. Kissing it now. And that's going to be pretty difficult for them to control. The current run rate, 7.5. Nicely struck. Might be a couple here, just a slight misfielders. Holman had to make sure he had everything behind that. They do get 2. But yeah, that current run rate won't be hard to keep up with it at all, but it does just mean that the required will climb. It's going to be a while before they can start to get any sort of control of that required rate, which is tough. Usually you get to the back 8 and you say 12 and over. Oh, slow ball now. Has it taken a little nick? Cryer catch it, nothing doing. Higgins looks back. One former promising Middlesex young all-rounder to another. Dot ball to survive. Another good slow ball to finish with the bouncer from Anderson.
Yeah, what a sorry, Kev, what a great start from Martin Anderson. 1 for 6 from 2 overs. Mentioned that he was overlooked throughout the 2021 campaign. Surprising given how poorly they were going that they never pulled that lever. But a man in form, batted so well last week at Lords against Durham in the 4-day game, 62 from 64 balls. And how often do you see it if you're in form in one form of the game that you can easily see it translate into another? And for Anderson here with the ball. Great start. Holman's turn.
Short, up in the air, and what a catch! Roland Jones.
Toby.
Composure, calmness, collected by Roland Jones, and that's another big one down at long on. Phillips departs for 8. Holman has 2 in his opening 2 overs, and Gloucestershire in trouble at 60 for 4.
Well, we had the perfect view of that. You might get a replay of it here. Yeah, we're on about that angle ourselves, and he watched that all the way. He knew he was going to have to take it fingers down quite early on. He knew he was going to have to adjust and get his footing right before putting out the mitts, and so he did. Just waited, stopped, propped, gets it spot on. Reminiscent of Trent Bolt against the West Indies to win a World Cup game in 2019. Brilliant from Roland Jones, 60 for 4. This is just about game over with Phillips gone for 8.
Yep, big trouble. As Taylor makes his way out to the middle, big trouble. Higgins nudges gloves. As long as he's there, he'll be trying to fill any partner at the other end with hope and optimism of this chase, but Middlesex in real control here. The biggest problem, well, 2 big problems on the wickets column. It's not so bad at 4, but it's that required rate. That's just going to keep going, isn't it? At nearly 15.
And they've lost 3 for 12 across the last couple of overs too. Yeah, they're in all sorts.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, Martin Anderson there at backward point. The fielding has been top shelf so far. A couple of great catches, some excellent saves. Saw that wronging from Holman there too. There it is again.
4 on this occasion. Dragged away. As you say, once he went, oh, good answer. He enjoyed that one, didn't he? Yeah, onto it on this occasion. Just sat up a little.
He seems to surprise batters at the start of a spell, Holman. There's the Lupia leg break. But yeah, we saw that a number of times in his first season in 2020 when all the games were played behind closed doors, that he'd sneak through an over without going for many, bowling just topspin. A little bit like Adam Zampa, actually, always attacking the stumps. Fraction wider again.
So you got the same, oh, again, turning it into 2, that's good running. Same love of coffee?
Oh, look, I think they all do these, don't they? Thankfully, Adam Zampa's got a personality. For many, coffee's a deflection when they don't have other hobbies outside of cricket. But Zamps is an interesting guy more broadly.
Got a hand to it. Cover the skipper, Eskenazi, just a single down to green. I tell you what, this is as good a T20 performance as I can really remember for Middlesex all round. You just mentioned the fielding there. Everything feels as though it's at a pretty good level in this game. The batting, obviously it helps when someone like Eskenazi gets going as he did. Yes, they didn't finish it off, but all of a sudden we were wondering, is 230 going to be a little light? It looks like a magnificent score right now with the ball. They didn't have Shaheen Sharafridi. They planned to have him for this game. They didn't have Tom Helm out there. And they didn't have Majib either. So, again, the rest are doing pretty good. When all eyes are often on the big guns, everybody's chipping in and playing a vital role. They have done all year.
A quick note, we're all on YouTube in the comments. If you can see a lot of the gibber going on there debating about the IPL, we'll try and block those comments as we work our way through the rest of the afternoon.
Cullen into the attack. Pace, express pace for the first time from Middlesex.
Yeah, this chat room isn't about debating whose IPL team's better than whose else's. No one cares, so please stop. And yeah, we'll block on site with that. For the rest, enjoy the conversation.
Oh, that's sharp. That's what we were talking about. That Cullen short ball here last year. It was so impressive. Did wonder how it would go tonight. We saw pace on. Wasn't particularly successful for Gloucestershire with the ball. But Cullen, he was quickly onto him there. The Gloucestershire skipper to blink those eyes.
I think it's a really important season for Blake Cullen. He only got one championship game in the first stretch. Didn't go to plan. Although it was in a winning team, must be said. But last year he was fantastic. Not only for Middlesex, where he didn't come from nowhere. We saw what he was capable of in the season of 2020, but yeah, 20 blast wickets leading the club. And went to the 100, took 10 wickets in that competition, signed out of the blast, so he wasn't originally selected. He was a rookie, wasn't he, or a wild card, or whatever they call it in the 100. Led the London Spirit, took the 7 most wickets in the comp, all on big TV as well, you know.
It's down the ground, that's a sweet shot. Lovely use of the feet, slap into that sight screen. Crunch. Lovely shot. Straight back down the ground. We mentioned pace on and how it went. So this is going to be a real test for Cullen here. See if... look at that. That's a beautiful shot. Didn't do any damage. Fortunately. Great shot from Higgins, though. That's nice. There's a single out to deep backward square. Well batted by Higgins. Last ball of the over for Taylor. One club man, the Banbury boy. Only a couple of 50s in T20s. They're going to need something very, very special from Taylor tonight, alongside that man.
If they win it from here, it'll be one of the great all-time T20 comebacks, right? So they need 15 and over. They need someone to do something ludicrous. I mean, has happened, but yeah, they're so far behind the pace.
Inside edge. Will it get on the 4? No. Swept up by Walla Luita. It's the end of the first 10. Take you through the last 10 here on the Middlesex live enhanced stream with Gloucestershire struggling, chasing 230. 79 for 4. It's going to be Adam Collins.
Thanks, Kev. Yeah, we played that well, didn't we? I did the first 10 when it was carnage, and you've done the next 20, and I'll come on to finish the job. Maybe see Middlesex to a win at the first time of asking in season 2022. They've got options galore with the ball. They've played that well through the first 10. They've used 6 bowlers: Green, Roland, Jones, Wallaluita, Anderson, Holman, Cullen. None of them bowling more than 2 overs, so well placed for Eskenazi. Holman to start his 3rd.
So you're suggesting this is going to be another onslaught for the back 10 here? You've got an onslaught at the first 10, you've got an onslaught at the back 10.
Well, as I say, if they can whack 150 runs in 59, 149 in 59 balls, well, good luck to them. It'll be a mighty win. That's a nice shot. Higgins committing to the reverse sweep and moving into the 20s. So I say about the reverse sweep, isn't it? You have to give it your all. You can't play a half-hearted reverse sweep. If you're into position, you just got to go for it. That's why a player like Glenn Maxwell, for instance, practices that shot perhaps more than any other shot in the nets, because you need to, once you're there, there's no room for half measures. Just got to go, as Higgins did there. Flatter from Holman. There's 3 out on the leg side, though. Picks out the middle of those. Max Holden at deep square. On the offside, there's a long off. That's green.
One thing they've got to think about here, Colo, in the back 10 is the net run rate defeat. It's a heavy one at the moment for Gloucestershire. They can't really afford to go in a heap here. They've got to set themselves a target, I think, and go for that. Be it 80 off the last 10, just to give them something so it's not such a horrific start to the season. The net run rate, I mean, for Middlesex, it's always been a killer for them over the years, because again, they've struggled with the bat mainly.
Up and over. Couple of boundaries in the over, Taylor into double figures. I think it applies for both teams, doesn't it? That Middlesex, if they can take all 10 here, that is a giant net run rate boost to start the season. Middlesex have Hampshire tomorrow down at Southampton, then Glamorgan back here on Sunday, then Sussex at home on the 3rd of June. Green down at long off. 11 gone, 9 to go, 91 for 4. As for the visitors, they have Sussex tomorrow night at Bristol, homecoming for them. Surrey at the Oval on what must be Tuesday, I think. I reckon I'm doing that game. And then Bristol is where they return to for the Kent game on Wednesday.
I'm at the Oval Tuesday as well. Not with you, though.
We're both busy freelancers. Industrious.
I'm the voice of God.
Here's Cullen on the hip, running his fingers down the seam. It was at Radlett where Blake Cullen made his first class debut against Sussex a couple of years ago and was super impressive with the bat initially making 40-odd not out when Middlesex were in a tough spot, and then taking a couple of wickets in the first innings. An emphatic 3-day victory over Sussex in the Bob Willis Trophy.
Do we need to try and sneak some of our Middlesex swag onto the Surrey stream on Tuesday?
Hadn't considered. I might get in trouble.
Don't make that mistake.
Up and over third. Good shot. We saw Max Holden do that a couple of times earlier, Middlesex's power play. Watching it back here with third inside the circle. Just a case of leaning back and using the pace. Did so well. Up to 96 for 4 now.
Yeah, did their final warm-up game against the development 11 from Sri Lanka yesterday, and they look a mighty strong side this year, sorry.
Jason Roy back, off the hip again.
Yep, opened up with Will Jacks. But only a brief cameo, got a couple away sweetly last night, but Jacks with a magnificent 50. Pope coming in at 3, where he's a little bit more suited in T20 cricket.
Yeah, that's just about the last game he'll play, Pope, I suppose. He'll be preparing to take the field to bat 3 for England in the Test match this time next week, next Thursday against New Zealand. Power. Oh. Just clearing. Cracknell there at deep square leg. For the second time, Cracknell's gone up to try and yank it down a la A.B. de Villiers, but not even he can get that high.
Yeah, it was sweet. Over towards the train tracks, bounced up into the bushes there.
Oh, they're nice memories. Those train tracks out there, Kev, from 2020 when our commentary position in COVID times was right on the back of the train line. I think we worked out where it was going. I think it was the train that goes to Nottingham. I think there's a train that goes past there on the East Midlands line. We had the timetable out at one point, Izzy and I, trying to work out what was coming next. 100's up. Bowled him, chops on. Second time we've seen that tonight. And Cullen gets his first wicket of the Vitality Blast season. knocking over Taylor for 19. Big, thick edge.
Yeah, that'll feel good, won't it? Obviously, we're looking at other things at the moment. The game as a contest should be mainly gone, and it's about limiting the defeat for Gloucestershire. But Cullen's taken a little bit of tap first 2 overs, hasn't he? And that'll feel an awful lot better for the pace man. Again, it's been a tough one tonight at this ground for the Quicks. Cullen back at him, though. I was just looking at the group, thinking that Surrey side looks strong. Sussex are going to be deploying quite the bowling attack this year, aren't they? Stephen Finn down there now, of course, as well. Kent the champs. Somerset of Somerset.
It's an exciting time of year, isn't it? The start of the Blast. Teams feeling each other out. I think there are 8 games on tomorrow night. I'm working on the Blast tomorrow, and I've got to get across 16 teams. Like that's gonna be some task, of course. But I like that in a big competition. Yeah, you could criticise how many games there are across the board, but it does mean you have a chance to work into it. Like they have some time to feel each other out. It isn't as though you lose a couple of games and you're out of contention. Far from it. Oh, you don't see that too often. The ball goes through Simpson's gloves. That's a Jaffa from Cullen to finish. 104 for 5 after 12. Get a look at that again.
Yeah, such a good ball. I think a few felt it was an edge.
Oh,
cool. That's what Blake Cullen's all about.
It's sometimes said that he's the next realistic Middlesex Test player. I mean, obviously we're a long way from, long way from that being part of the conversation, but just on the back of what he offers as a fast bowler with his height, pace, I can see that.
Oh, for sure. He's got an incredible accuracy as well for a young man.
He's 20 now, Cullen. Oh, wrong one from Holman to start. That's pretty much his stock delivery in short form cricket, Holman. The top spinner or the wrong one. You rarely see him float the leggy down.
So what are you doing tonight across all those games?
All 8 games.
Yeah.
We're going to be bouncing around from game to game on the ECB feed, trying to keep an eye on all 8 at the same time. Catches the call, in from the rope, lands just short of Holden on the charge. 106 for 5, sorry, just slightly behind the scoreboard. Yes, it'll be, imagine NFL Red Zone, but for T20 cricket.
Nice.
Should be fun.
So round the grounds.
Round the grounds, yeah. Soccer Saturday. Flat again from Holman.
Who's with you for that?
Phil Walker from Wisdom tomorrow night. So, yeah, a few weeks of that, see how it goes.
I don't know Phil well enough to call it Freaky Friday then.
We'll play some shots. I was
thinking it might have been Dan Norcross.
Before we all head off to a test match next week. Getting that googly from Holman, well negotiated by Higgins, who's seeing them well, up to 29.
When are you flying again? Aren't you flying somewhere again soon?
Yeah, Sri Lanka for a couple of test matches about a month from now. But yeah, squeezing in 3 test matches against New Zealand first. I'm going to do the lesser travelled route of Leeds to Gaul in consecutive days with them too. Down the ground, towards us, but Roland Jones does what's required of him. End of 13 overs, 110 for 5. And in 110 from 42 balls. Unlikely as that is.
I was just looking up the overseas for Sussex this year, because their side as well, as I say, when they've got everybody else, everybody in, then they're pretty impressive.
Who have they got, Sussex, from abroad?
I'm just trying to see if there's been a withdrawal, because I'm sure there was another to this list of overseas for them.
Pretty well placed in the end. Bisecting the two fielders back on the leg side is Higgins. That's his third 4. He's hit a 6 as well.
Travis Head has been replaced by Tom Haynes.
Oh, he's being replaced by. He's not going to stick around.
Yeah, he withdrew from his overseas contract. Okay. Travis Head. Just wondering, has this been?
Oh yes, Travis Head will be in Sri Lanka very soon as well. That's why.
Yeah. So got Rashid Khan, and Mohammad Rizwan.
Oh, what a take! Anything on it? Sure is. John Simpson, what a star he's been over so many years. Away to his left. And that's the end of Higgins. Got a good look at it down the leg side. Cullen banging it in short. But you still got to get to the contest, and Simpson always does. 114 for 5.
Goodness me. What a week or so he's having with the gloves, John Simpson. Some incredible catches at Lords. There was one he had to make on the run and then a leap. Not too dissimilar to that, as well as the outstanding one just in front of Pete Hanscom at slip. Which, well, one of the best catches he'd have taken, I'd imagine, getting the glove down a long way to his left on that one. This one here, equally difficult, short down the leg side. And the pace of Cullen as well. But made that one look so easy yet again.
That's it, isn't it? He made that look like it was the easiest thing in the world, didn't he? And it's not. The degree of difficulty on that is quite high down the leg side, even if he did get a decent sense of where it was going. So 4 wickets to take for Middlesex to complete what would be just about the perfect game to start the year as far as net run rate's concerned as well. Smith, the new man, to the middle. Off the mark, first ball. I'll never quite understand net run rate. I'll never truly understand it, but I do know that when you bowl a team out, that's a big tick. It's a big old boost when you take all 10 wickets.
The one rule that I can always remember is I remember Middlesex at the end of a group desperately needed to overturn around a net run rate, so they needed to bat first, score an awful lot of runs, and then bowl the opposition out very cheaply. And that's about the only way you can make a big swing on the run rate.
You picked that up well there. Howe getting inside the line, his first boundary.
Let's go back for a moment to Sussex. Of course, the prospect was that they were going to have Finn, Archer and Mills all running in, but Archer's gone, hasn't he? I think that's what I was thinking. It wasn't overseas, it was Archer.
So they've got Rashid Khan and Mohammad Rizwan.
Yeah.
That's pretty handy. Just 2 of the best T20 players in the world right there.
Yeah, indeed.
The #1 ranked bowler, and Rizwan will be in the top 5 ranked batters, if not top 3. On the dance. Yeah, Howe. 2 in it. Yep. And Josh Philippi, is he also in the mix for Sussex, the Australian?
Not for the T20.
Oh, not for the T20, sorry, my apologies.
The other one's the New Zealander. He must be coming.
Oh, Tim Seifert, yes.
He's replacing Rizwan, because I assume Rizwan's off in a...
Rizwan's off playing in that series against the West Indies. I think it's a 50-over series as part of the One-Day World Cup Super League, if I recall correctly. Thick edge, over the top of short third, down towards us for more. So the boundaries keep flowing. The problem is they've lost 6 wickets and they're way behind the rate. End of 14 overs, 125 for 6.
Of course, I was wondering why Ollie Robinson wasn't playing for them, but he's in the County Select 11 at the moment, isn't he?
He's been taken out of the County Select 11 this morning. He pulled up stiff when bowling before the toss, and they called in a young bloke you might have seen bowl a couple of times called Ethan Bamber. So Ethan gets his opportunity playing in that County Select 11.
It's been a slow news day for me, I'm afraid, Colo. So
you got stuck in traffic. I
just
know how
got
it
stuck
is.
today. I just got stuck. Simple as that.
I was thinking about this. Do you think Ethan Bamber will get given some sort of kit for that? Will he get like an England Lions? I know it's not called England. Will they make up a special County Select 11 cap?
Yeah, could well do.
Roland Jones is back and beating the bat as he did a number of times in his first spell. Bracey on 4 consecutive occasions. Smith trying to flat bat, doesn't make contact. Yeah, that'd be a nice bit of kit, wouldn't it? The County Select 11 long sleeve jumper. It's funny, that's how my brain works. I'm immediately thinking about where's the swag. Could be 2. They won't take on Holden. Likely having reached the same conclusion we did a couple of overs ago, that it's in their best interest not to get bowled out, 1, and 2, just to tick the board over up to about, let's call it 170 odd. That'll be a job fairly well done from where they were at the end of the power play, when from that stage they were never going to win. So 127 for 6. To put it in some perspective, Middlesex were 122 for 1 when they lost their second wicket after 8.4 overs. So pretty much 6 overs ahead of where Gloucestershire are. Yeah, well placed again. Smith this time, beating mid off, his first boundary. I wonder how, thinking about the 100, I wonder how long it'll take for the 100 groups to realise that Stevie Eskenazi hasn't got a contract and didn't have one last year.
Yeah.
I mean, that is bewildering, that he played as well as he did last year. Even the fact that he started the county season with a ton. 28 years of age, should be coming into the peak of his career. Oh, long, but not long enough. Hanging in the air. I must admit, I lost that entirely. I was about to take evasive action at long on. They get through for a single.
Yeah, but a few of those that have skied but landed safe for Gloucestershire in this innings. It could have been an awful lot worse. 2 that have skied and landed virtually on the edge of the square in space. A couple flown just short. Just going back to that Sussex match, Wright and Rizwan are opening for the Sharks. Glamorgan winning the toss. Lexington Fields down at Hove. And that's Sussex attack for this one. Finn, Mills, Garton, Beer and Lenham.
5 overs to go. 133 for 6. At this stage, Middlesex, as you can see, were 187 for 4.
Feeling Glamorgan have got their work cut out in this group this year. Their team, David Lloyd, Sam Northeast, Marnus Labuschagne, Kieran Carlson, I'll get there in the end, Chris Cook, Joe Cook, Dan Douthwaite, Michael Neser, James Whale, Prem Sosadia.
Cullen to start his 4th over. He's got 2 wickets.
Yeah, Michael Hogan, the last of those ones there. Not bad with the ball, but I don't know if they've quite got enough with the bat once you pass Northeast and Labuschagne. Because it is a tough southern group. That was the point that we got onto, wasn't it, with Surrey. Surrey will be one of the favourites. Ended their group stage last year with a victory over Gloucestershire.
It was Surrey who dispatched Gloucestershire in the semi-final a couple of seasons ago through the legs of Cracknell. You don't see that too often. They take one on the arm via the overthrow. Yeah, Surrey thrashed Gloucestershire, then were defeated themselves in the final by Notts. Pretty sure it was Dan Christian. It's a very long group stage. We said it a few times, haven't we, that Cracknell feels like he's in the game if he can. I mean, if the boundaries were 5 yards deeper or five yards longer, he'll have taken 3 catches out there this afternoon. But a few times he's tried to go the Spider-Man pose, as A.B. de Villiers did a few years ago for the RCV, famously. But they all just gone above his fingers.
He's just watched it back on the big screen as well. He enjoyed that one.
Back to back. Bang, bang from Howe. That'll help with that net run rate in terms of just getting that score up to around 170 or thereabouts. All that experience that Howe now has around the world. Worked hard with Julian Wood, the renowned power hitting coach. Loves the baseball as well. He reported that he went to a Miami Marlins against Philadelphia Phillies baseball game to help influence his hitting. Seeing a bit of that here deep into this game. Catches the call. It lands in front of deep backward square though. It's just back on that county select 11. That's the second consecutive year that Ethan Bamber's been picked for that. He was in the squad against India last year. So, yeah, a sign that from a Middlesex perspective, they are thinking about him, about what cricket they can get into Bamber at the next level up.
Hard to ignore that record, isn't it?
Yeah.
First 100 first-class wickets, an average of 23. He's gone well past 100 now.
Great in the second innings last week. And I reckon he's quicker now too. We had the speed gun, didn't we, for the county game at Lords. End of 16 overs, 152 for 6. So they've gone beyond the 150 in that over. Big over off Roland Jones, off Cullen, I should say, who finishes with 2 for 56 from his 4. So he's taken some tap.
Yeah, pace on, as we said from the very beginning tonight. That was what Gloucestershire got wrong at the beginning. The pace on, and it went in the power play, didn't it? So Cullen was always going to be the interesting one tonight. How would he go? It just flies, doesn't it? Anything on that ball, whether it's middle or edge, it flies with the pace on this surface. Back to spin. Green back into the attack. Started with that, with those 5 wides down the leg sides. 1 for 15 off his 2 in the end, so only went for 10 off the 12 legitimate deliveries that followed.
Oh. Look out, Cars again.
I thought he top edged that at first. That's gone a long, long way. Looking for a new
my
bat
first
as well.
impression was didn't get all of it either, but getting across his stumps, got the elevation right. It's all that matters with a short boundary. Out towards the vehicles for about the 10th time tonight. They've been in the firing line, and yeah, that will require a change of bat from Benny Howe. So he was with the Punjab Kings in the IPL, but didn't get a game this year. They paid a bit for him, 40 lakhs. I'm not sure what that means, but I think that's a bit of cash. I think he did okay.
Paid in food, I'd take that nowadays.
Cross the line again. Over the top where there is a gap there at backward square. Oh, fabulous fielding. Relay effort. That's Owen Morgan. We talked a little bit earlier about the fact that he doesn't want to back up playing games in consecutive days anymore to help prevent injury, but yeah, seeing here he's lost none of that natural touch that he's always had around the field. Helped on the way. Reverse sweep. Just cut off. I think it came off bat, then possibly Simpson's pad. Let's look for a signal here. No. Yep. Runs Howe into the 40s in just 16 balls.
You're not going to entertain the fact that a very big over at this stage for Gloucestershire might just open something up.
All right, let's play that game. Green here. So they need 67 from 20 balls. Middlesex started the game with 50 from 22. Then they hit their next 50 from 21. And remember how chaotic that was in terms of the number of times the boundary was found. They would probably need to... Yeah, I know, I'm not entertaining it. It's a short answer, no. He's getting dark here now as well.
20 and over required.
50 partnership up, I should say.
If they were to try to win it in the 19th, as teams do.
Yeah, don't let it get to the 20th over. They're always saying that about chasing teams. No, surely not. I mean, he's gone the... Can we get another look at that? So umpire Pollard's called that a wide. He's got... Well, let's just have another look at this. So, yeah, he's assessed that it's gone outside the tram tracks. It has nothing to do with whether he switched up or not. I still think that's stiff. Very stiff.
Yeah, you can see he's signalling the tram tracks there.
Yeah. In the same spot, plays conventionally. Keeps the strike. So 3 overs to go, and for the purpose of the hypothetical that you were raising before, 64 required. Has it ever happened? 64 in the last 3? Maybe, but probably not. How going nicely, though. 42 from 18. This partnership going at a very decent clip.
Was it Hussey, the famous... No, it wasn't Hussey, was it? Who was it that hit the famous one that was ridiculous off the last 3?
There was one in the IPL last year, which I'm going to struggle to tell you who it was, but there was an instance of the last 3 overs. And I mean, MS Dhoni consistently seemed to chase down sort of 15 and over in the last 3, but this is another level altogether. Anderson, back for the death, and fair enough too. 1 for 6 from 2 to begin with. He deserves to bowl overs 18 and 20 here. Back into the T20 side for the first time in a couple of years. Straight to start. And 4 runs to Howe. I'll tell you what, we talked about how quick Eskenazi reached 50 earlier in 22 balls, or 21 balls, sorry, I think it was. Howe's on track to beat him to that mark.
So what was it in the... it was the World Cup semi-final in 2010, wasn't it, against Pakistan?
Ah, yes, yes.
And Hussey...
Leading edge to Roland Jones, and his second catch of the evening. Fingers down again. Had all the time in the world underneath it there, and Howe gone for an entertaining 46 from 20 balls. They lose their 7th wicket, Gloucestershire, with the score on 170.
So Howe's is no Hussey. Just drawing up that scorecard. Just drawing up that scorecard. It was 60 off, 24 deliveries for Michael Hussey, wasn't it, at the end of that one? What were they? 144 for 7 after 17.1.
Who did he take down? Muhammad Amir, Abdul Razak, Abdul Rahman, Sajid Bamal, Sayed Ajmal, I should say, Shahid Afridi, and Muhammad Hafiz. Some good cricketers there. David Payne walking in at number 9. Bowled the first over today. Didn't go well, but did collect a couple of wickets towards the end. Payne 2 for 42 from his 4. Another leading edge, and, well, Martin Henderson's on a hat-trick. Nicely snaffled. Blake Cullen on the edge of the circle.
Back to the bowl, getting them bowled out for the net run rate.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Middlesex, I'm sure, will be alert to that. If they're not, I'm sure Owen Morgan in the huddle here will say, if we take all 10 here, it could make a difference in about 4 weeks' time. So Payne gone for a golden duck. Not a great day for him. Gloucestershire lose their 8th wicket with the score on 170. 2 to go for Middlesex. And Martin Anderson, after not being picked at all in 2021, gets the chance for a cheeky little hat-trick to start his new season.
And it was his batting that he wasn't picked for last year, wasn't it? His bowling was all right.
Well, his batting in 2020, it didn't work out. 95 runs in 10 hits. I mean, you can understand why he wasn't being picked in the top 6, but he's improved in both disciplines since then.
Well, he bowled against Luke Fletcher, who was trying to smash it all around Lords the other week. Here's the hat-trick ball.
Van Meekeren facing the hat-trick ball. Martin Anderson. Clip down to backward square, catches the call, but it lands a couple of yards in front of Tila Molalawita. Martin Christopher with a K Anderson.
With the double S.
That's right. I'm only half joking when I say that he should play some games for Sweden. He is eligible.
What have you dubbed him? The Swedish Flintoff?
Well,
is that right?
Put it this way. Jonty Rhodes is the coach. I mean, he could do worse than spending. I mean, I'm not sure how it would fit in with his commitments for Middlesex, but provided there were some opportunities, he could do worse than spending some time with Jonty Rhodes. Last ball of the 18th. Skied again, hanging in the air. Couple running in, and it's Cracknell on the bounce, collecting it mid-air in 1 mitt. He's a very good cricketer. 18 overs gone, 173 for 8. 2 wickets in the over for Anderson. He has 3 for 13 from 3. Talk about against the grain in a high-scoring match. He'll be on the list, I'm sure, that Thorpe will put up for player of the match. Eskenazi will be there too. Check that out. I'm sure you can vote. I think you can vote, can't you, for player of the match? You can vote. Martin Anderson with 3 for 13. He'll be there. Stevie Eskenazi, 87 from 37, will be there as well. Roland Jones to start his 4th. Over 19. Can they bowl them out? If they can do the job here and get the 10 wickets, that'll be a great way to finish their evening. They won't. I don't think they've got a problem. They've gone okay. The first innings was a really long one. Skied. They can raffle it. And it's Roland Jones with his 3rd catch. But this time it also means his 1st wicket. 174 for 9. Smith falls for 12.
Yep, finishing it off nicely here. As you say, they might get all 10 now. And it's been a very impressive evening from Middlesex. Fortress Radlett against the bogey team.
Yeah. The bogey team, they've only beaten Gloucestershire twice across 20 seasons. This being the 20th season in this form of the game. Gloucestershire did the double against them last year. And Middlesex have only made the quarterfinals twice since winning the comp in 2008. So to start like this, an emphatic victory, that will mean quite a bit.
14th attempt when they finally beat Gloucestershire.
Oh, it was their 14th attempt when they got there, right. Yes.
Extraordinary run.
Naseem Shah in at number 11. Backing away and swinging a missing. I think we've seen Naseem Shah play some rather entertaining test innings where what he did just there, that's what he does. Backs away and tries to clout it.
So he's the Tim Mercer of Test cricket.
I was at his test debut a few years ago when he was 16. And his 1st wicket was David Warner, but it was retrospectively overturned. He overstepped. There it is again. I don't think he minds. He's plenty good enough with the ball. He can be a proper number 11 if he wants to.
So he missed out on Shaheen Shah, a freebie against Shah tonight. Should have been
that would have been
pretty
great.
Tasty.
Yes,
pairing.
The obvious comparison to Wasim and Waqar, those two. Just hope their bodies stay right. Hope none of them have back injuries. Neither of them, rather. There it is. Gets it away over deep 3rd, off the mark with a boundary. Down onto Salters Field. Who's going to fetch that? Who's putting their hand up? I think Blake Cullen said, I'll do it. Yeah, you hope with Naseem at 19 and Shaheen at 21. We saw Waqar Younis, who, I mean, the comparisons between Naseem and Waqar are so glaring with their bowling action that he missed a lot of cricket with injury in his early 20s and came back to be one of the all-time greats. Last ball for Toby Roland Jones. Off pace, nearly hits the off stump. He finishes his spell with 1 for 30 from 4. We've got 1 over left.
Fair bit of thinking for Gloucestershire to do. This will be a bit of shock for them tonight. I mean, 178 for 9, or 178 in the 19th, and you're losing. But then scores now, they do generally, especially at an out ground like this, smaller ground. It's not exactly a sticky surface, is it? So the leverage was there for the batters to get. But again, I think for Middlesex as well, going forward to Sunday, this will give them something to think about in terms of the pace off. Hope to have Helm back, I'm sure. Can't say definitively, but I think it was touch and go for today.
Right.
As to whether he was going to make the squad.
I'll tell you what, Helm and Souter both back in the squad. That's a pretty strong team if they're both around. Anderson gets to bowl over number 20. He can re-bowl the first ball of it, though. Well down the leg side, so signalled by umpire Blackwell.
Good call to go 4:30 for this fixture this year. You can really feel the lights coming off that floodlight on the far side, glaring.
So Behrendorff, Helm and Souter could go into this 11. I know Souter was omitted tonight, but with team balance, we saw how effective he can be, going into 7 and over last year. Nice shot. For 1, putting Naseem Shah back on strike, which is what we're all here to see. Naseem Shah facing up.
Last thing they brought in Mujib. But they've got a fair few spin options, haven't they, Middlesex? Holman in particular went well tonight.
Yeah, it's a good point. Naseem goes straight and long. And on to the seconds ground. Bang.
Wow.
I'm telling you, he's got a game plan. Make room and slap.
I guess with that swing that he's got, if he connects, it is going to go. And he connected there, all right.
I mean, but he does this at test level. He's a joy to watch.
And it does come off. I thought it was just swing and miss at test level as well.
He has a crack at doing this. This is his plan A, plan B, plan C. Good change up from Anderson. Bit of confusion momentarily as to whether Naseem fancy getting off strike, but he's got no choice. Van Meekeren racing down. 2 balls left. No, make that 3 balls left. It was a wide to start the over. So we'll be out of here about 7:30. So light, not a factor, but yeah, would have been had it been at 8:30. That's big. The Dutch international over the top of the temporary grandstand. Nice way to finish it.
Biggest of the lot tonight.
Yeah, he's given that some welly. Let's have another look, Helly. Here we go. Tonk. We've got these temporary grandstands up this year. We've got the new scoreboard, which is just on the back of a truck, and a grandstand on either side. Yeah, and that cleared it comfortably. Tries to do it again. We've got to name the temporary stands before. Maybe we'll call... I think one gets called the Stevie Eskenazi grandstand after what happened tonight. Let's ink that in. Let's make that so. And maybe we'll name the second one when Middlesex play here again on the weekend. Straight and long again to finish. And 6 more. Talk about ruining Martin Anderson's figures. 3 sixes in the final over to finish it. That is a wonderful effort from Gloucestershire to get up right on 200. 199 for 9 they close on. They still lose the game by 30 runs, but from where they were, taking the bigger picture around net run rate, not getting bowled out and clouting 21 runs in the final over. Not a bad effort. Van Meekeren finishing on 16 from 7 balls, and Naseem Shah 10 from 6. Martin Anderson 3 wickets, but yes, figures damaged at the end, going for 34 from his 4 overs. And Middlesex take the victory after a commanding performance up top. A brilliant power play worth 89. Outstanding leadership from the new captain Eskenazi with 87 from 37 balls. Valuable contributions when it mattered most from Holden and Cracknell. Then Morgan in the middle overs. And a good power play with the ball meant the visitors were never really a chance.
Yeah, no disappointment for Middlesex at all at the end, but something perhaps just to think on the fact that Gloucestershire did get to 199. The 30-run victory margin is still a nice net run rate return, but it's not as big as perhaps it could have been. Obviously, they're missing Helm, Behrendorff to come in. Again, we talked about those that they plan to have. Sad or not in the squad for this one. So it's nice that Middlesex have got a selection headache in T20 because that hasn't happened many times over the years.
So 428 runs across the afternoon here at Radlett. 18 wickets taken. A most entertaining start to the Vitality Blast here at Radlett.
Yep, brilliant night. Brilliant start for Middlesex. As I say, one of the most encouraging performances that I think I've seen Middlesex put in the T20. Are you getting too hot next to me?
I had to derobe. Got to get the Charles Tyrrett jumper on the screen before the close of play, Kev. Got to keep your eye on the ball with these things.
Brilliant work from you. Brilliant work from you. Yeah, like I said, they have been, I mean, they've been one of the worst T20 sides in the country over the years, Middlesex, but there has been an upward turn in recent years, not as quickly as some would like, of course, but Stuart Law got them to quarter-final a couple of years ago, didn't he, in 2019. And I think there's been clear signs of improvement, and there's a lot of very good young players in this side coming through. As I mentioned, Cracknell right at the top. He's the one that really excited me when he came through a couple of years ago, because it's been a long time since Morgan, Milan, and then Sterling thereafter came through. Middlesex haven't really produced that kind of explosive batter. Well, they have now in Cracknell, and again, the adaptation of both Eskenazi and Holden, I think, at the top for Middlesex is something that's changed T20 cricket a lot for them.
I think it's a positive move making Eskenazi the full-time captain as well. They could have given the armband to Owen Morgan with all his experience like they did last season, but knowing that they can set and forget with a man who's in form, over 400 runs 2 years ago, 399 last year, 87 to start tonight, that's the perfect setup. And the players to come as well. Mujib, yeah, a little ways away with the visa issues, but Jason Behrendorff, as soon as the IPL's complete, Tom Helm will be back soon enough. I mean, they've got good options, Middlesex, to start the season. Yeah, and a player like Cracknell, he finished tonight, what did he make? He made, I haven't got it in front of me, I put 26. The piece of paper down. 26 from 15 balls, but twice clearing the ropes. Doesn't take long to get going. He's a massive asset inside the power play. Likewise, Max Holden made 27 from 12 balls. Haven't spent a lot of time talking about him, but he really went with Eskenazi up the top and made sure that power play of 89 for 1 was record-breaking for Middlesex.
Yeah, and, you know, again, that batting order, although Middlesex got themselves in a spot of bother at the end, didn't they? As, you know, we almost felt, oh, are they a little bit like, because they went so well at the top. No Morgan tomorrow night, we don't think, given, as you said, potentially he won't play back-to-back games, so he'll be back for the Glamorgan game on Sunday. But I think everybody shifts up one. They had a lot of bowlers tonight, actually, Middlesex, so it's a nice problem to have that you've got Walla Luita and Cullen jostling for who's number 11, because, you know, they're two very good bats. So, yeah, interesting what they do to replace Morgan tomorrow night if he does drop out of the squad as expected, I think. Yeah,
as planned, really, isn't it? Not wanting to play back-to-back games. So tomorrow night they've got Hampshire down at the Rose Bowl. For Gloucestershire, they have Sussex back home at Bristol, and that might be where we leave our coverage for this evening. An exciting game of cricket, 428 wickets and 428 runs rather, and 18 wickets. With Middlesex taking the first game of the season by 30 runs. From Adam Collins and Kevin Hand and all of our team here at Radlett, good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Sweet, you've got that tomorrow, mate. That's amazing. So, yeah, that's